The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward. Robles, goal! InsertName FC! Let's go, InsertName FC! What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, the host of the InsertName FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. And you can find us also on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us there. We're also available on YouTube. Please find us on YouTube and please subscribe. That's how you can find the video version of me and my co-host and best friend, Errol Robles here, which you won't see his face because, he's already explained it. We don't have to go over it again. So in front of him is actually the InsertName FC logo. So this is where you can see the video version of the podcast. So please subscribe because we're trying to grow that as well. And the main reason why we're now having a video podcast now is because we are also available on GolzTV, which is the Hulu of soccer content. So there's also that.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so obviously joining me as always is my best friend, Errol Robles.
What is up, guys?
Obviously, Edward was not available last week because I was not recording it on Monday like we usually do because kind of how I mentioned it before, it was my mother's birthday. So I recorded it with that's why I recorded it with Kelsey.
Yeah, and Mondays are usually the best days for me because last week too, had the boys on that Tuesday, then Wednesday had to take them to school, had to take care of some stuff, and yeah, it's just basically during the week it's pretty bad for me.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the main reason why. But yeah, another international break is over. We're back to regular scheduled football. So that's gonna be great. So in this episode, we are going to talk about, once again, overreactions like we always do after every weekend of soccer. We have some headlines to talk about, some very funny headlines because there's a very iconic thing that happened this past weekend that I still can't believe happened, but it happened. The first round one, well, not the first one, but round one of the MLS Cup playoffs has passed, and this weekend, MLS Cup Conference Semifinals, after being off for what feels like now 21 days, is back in action. So, and, obviously we're talking about MLS Cup. So we'll be having Jose Tellez of GolzTV, the founder, the creator of GolzTV, will be joining me. And we're going to be talking about that because obviously it's easier to talk to somebody that likes MLS when you have a Euro snob as your co-host. So
shots fired.
Even though he's not really much of a Euro snob because he also likes Liga MX. So
yeah.
So there's also that. But me and Edward would all obviously have our players of the week to announce. Give you guys some games that are coming up this coming weekend as we're back to regular scheduled programming. And obviously MLS Cup playoff is still a thing, and Liga MX is kicking off this weekend as well. So get ready for that. And we're going to wrap this show up with a Reddit reading, and this time we're going to go to a other region of Reddit. Obviously, last time we did a Reddit reading, we did "Am I the Asshole?" which I still think is a very interesting segment of Reddit that is gets some very good reads from there. But we're actually going to go to a segment called Ask Men. So Ask Men is a section of Reddit where people just ask men the questions that they have yearned for. So we'll see if me and Edward are up for the task of answering these questions. So
basically, it's, are we men enough to answer these questions?
Yeah. So there's that. So pretty big episode. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and then we'll go right to it with our overreactions from the past weekend.
Are you ready to elevate your sports betting experience? Look no further than DraftKings Sportsbook. Why choose DraftKings Sportsbook? Unmatched variety. Bet on your favorite sports leagues or discover new ones to follow. Live betting. Test your instincts and feel the adrenaline as you bet in real time while the game unfolds. Promotions and boosted odds. DraftKings keeps the excitement going with a range of promotions, odds boosts, and special offers. And a user-friendly interface. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or new to the game, DraftKings' intuitive platform makes placing bets a breeze. Ready to dive in? BellyUpSports has partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook to give you an exclusive offer. Sign up at dkng.co/BellyUp150 and new customers will get $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet $5 or more. Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your love for sports to the next level. Sign up today and let the games begin. Please gamble responsibly. 21 years or older. Eligibility restrictions apply. See website for details.
And we're back. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Instagram, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. Obviously now it's called the X. On at InsertName FC. You can also follow us on TikTok at insert.name.fc for some dumb soccer content over there. But Edward, what's your first overreaction from this past weekend of the international break?
Well, the overreaction that I have is that France just demolished, how do you say that country? Gibraltar. Like, demolished. Like, I've not seen something like that in a long time.
So there was a question. There was they interviewed Mbappe after the game and was like, there was 9 different goal scorers in this game. And Mbappe's response was, well, there's 10 if you count the own goal.
No.
So, yeah, it was pretty rough. It
was pretty brutal. It was brutal. Like, I think so. I mean, it's France. I'm not gonna lie, but you would think that after, I don't know, 4 goals, you would think they'd be like, all right, we're gonna slow it down and just keep control, possession of the ball. Let Mbappe do his dribbling, just do that, But I guess they were just like, no, we're going to go ahead and keep going.
I mean, the first goal was scored in the 3rd minute, which was an own goal. And then a minute later, there was another goal. Guys that had multiple goals this game was Kylian Mbappe, who had a hat trick. Kingsley Coman, who had 2 goals. And Olivier Giroud, who scored 2 goals, literally 2 minutes apart from everything.
Yeah.
Oh, also the player that scored the own goal got ejected for a red card. So
I bet you he was mad, and so was the team with him.
He got red carded like 15 minutes after he scored the own goal. So he definitely let that linger for a bit. Yeah. Oh, also Gibraltar had no shots on target and had 0 shots. They had like 27% of the possession.
Okay.
They only completed 244 passes to France's 635. They didn't even beat them in fouls. The only thing they beat them in was in red cards. So.
No, I mean, can you, like, dude, I have no idea how that.
France had 39 shots and 20 of them were on target.
Yeah.
That's rough. Rough. Yeah. What a shellacking.
So that is my overreaction because, like I said, I was expecting maybe 4, 5 goals tops. Was not expecting the bombardment of goals like that. Like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I think if you want to get like an American reference as to like what this beating is, it's like if Alabama played Harvard.
Harvard has a football team?
Harvard does have a football team.
Oh. They're that bad, huh?
Well, they don't play in any, like, they only play Ivy League schools, so they don't. It's not like they go play like LSU or University of Texas. Like,
yeah,
they stay in their bubble and they keep it that way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like if Harvard was decided, hey, let's play Alabama. Like I think that's exactly kind of the same shellacking that we would have seen.
Oh man.
So unless you're talking about a
Damn.
debate contest, I think maybe that's where Harvard wins, but definitely not in the game of football. At least American football. But yeah, so yeah, that was no, I agree. That was a pretty bad game, a really rough game. Um,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can't even. I'm just like it is something I hadn't seen in a long time. Hector heard my reaction. He heard my reaction of how like what I saw. I thought it was a typo.
nope,
It
it
was just
wasn't.
it was not a
Um,
typo.
so my overreaction for this past weekend is Mexico is in quite the predicament. Um, if you guys don't know, during this international break, the CONCACAF teams have been doing their Nations League matches. Um, and the thing is about the current because it's a two leg matchup right now. So as a matter as we're recording this right now, USA is about to go play against Trinidad and Tobago for their second leg, and USA is currently up 3-0 on Trinidad and Tobago. So they'd have to be playing really bad to screw this up. So
Yeah,
so there's that. On the other side, though, even though that 3-0 victory was probably like the most frustrating 3-0 victory I've ever experienced in my life, but Mexico, on the other hand, they have Honduras as their matchup. Now, if you guys remember, me and Kelsey, we talked about the importance of this match, not necessarily just to continue on with the Nations League, but the winners from this round of playoffs qualifies for Copa America. So if say Mexico, all right, so the situation with Mexico is right now is they are down 2-0 to Honduras.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so they're down 2-0 to Honduras. Luckily for them, though, their game's gonna be tomorrow, which obviously you guys know we're recording on Monday, so the match is on Tuesday. So by the time this episode, maybe I'll do like a slip in right after I say this, that maybe Mexico, which I mean it's favorable for Mexico. If there's a time to be down 2-0 on aggregate, the perfect way is to have that second leg to be in Mexico in Estadio Azteca. So, but not everything is glamorous right now in Mexico because there's still struggles. It's now people are worried that maybe this Mexico that Santiago Jimenez isn't enough to make Mexico good. There's been a lot of complaints. Look, am I gonna be happy to see Mexico not make it to Copa America? Yes, I'm not gonna sugarcoat you. I'm definitely gonna love it. I have nothing.
Damn.
I have no ties to Mexico. So
Damn.
I mean Edward does.
My kids.
His kids. But
They're half and half.
yeah, so it is gonna be really, really crazy if Mexico ends up. But then, so here's my overreaction. I think if Mexico somehow doesn't beat Honduras on Tuesday, which I'll say Q update here. All right, so update. Mexico did in fact find a way to win, as they were able to win in Azteca 2-0, which went to penalties, and they won 4-2 in penalties. Very controversial win. Did seem like CONCACAF did, in fact, try to make sure Mexico not only made it to the semifinals of the CONCACAF Nations League, but also to make it to the Copa America that's coming up in the summer of 2024. So CONCACAF did, in fact, help Mexico out because, yeah, very controversial win. We'll probably talk about it next episode, but yeah. So that happened. That happened. If Mexico doesn't, if Mexico doesn't beat Honduras somehow, do you think somehow CONCACAF is going to try to find a way to get Mexico into Copa America?
Excuse me.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I am confident that Mexico is gonna win the second leg.
Okay.
Everything is
You
perfect for
you put
everything
in the faith in Mexico.
in that situation. You're telling me you're down 2-0 and you're gonna be in Estadio Azteca. Like all you have to do is score 2 goals, which I mean is possible in Azteca. You score 2 goals in
Yep.
Azteca, you at least go to extra time and maybe go to penalties if needed, or you can outright just score 3 goals. Obviously, straight up win 3-0, and you move on to the next round, which I think is very possible because we are talking about Stadio Azteca. It is a fortress in there. It is high altitude. It's everything that as best of a home field advantage as if U.S. was playing in Minnesota on a cold winter night. So like it's a good advantage for them. They're going to take advantage. They should be taking advantage of it. And so I think I will say confidently Mexico is going to beat Honduras. But in the event that it doesn't happen, and this is going to be our if this doesn't happen, I'm definitely going to use this as a potential reel or be found as a clip for TikTok. Do you believe that somehow not necessarily Copa America, but I guess also you can throw Copa America in there. Are they going to try to find a way to put Mexico into the tournament?
They might. I don't think there wouldn't be any way to do it unless if they're like, hey, so because there's a game that's going to happen in Mexico, Mexico has to, like they're going to try to do something if that's the case,
because you're losing a ton of viewership if Mexico's not in Copa America. That is such a big viewership that you're about to lose.
Yeah.
Which once again, I'm gonna say it again. I am 100% confident right now that Mexico is going to beat Honduras.
I mean,
that 2-0 is not like the worst situation.
It's not the worst situation was
it was embarrassing for them. Like I'll say that it's embarrassing for them, but like, I mean, it hasn't been great for Mexico as of lately.
The really bad situation was when Germany screwed Brazil when they fucking bombarded them with goals.
Wait, what? Oh, when they played in the World Cup in Brazil.
Yep.
I was
like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that was bad.
No, but I mean, there obviously everyone has their complaints about you can't even say L3 anymore. They lost the rights to say L3. But mi selección, even though it feels weird me saying that. But el selección for Mexico it's not the same Mexico from years before. It's not the same team. Like
not.
That 2014 team, I will probably say is one of the best teams that we ever saw from Mexico. And then obviously the thing is just that there's not like any young players that like excite me right now. Like looking at that Mexican team right now, like Luis Romo, if there was somebody better, I think I would much rather see him. Jorge Sanchez, I feel like we've seen him when it comes to playing against a really good winger doesn't pan out too well. So like it's a weird thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's this Mexico team, and then also what hurts even more is that Memo Ochoa I think got injured during that Honduras game, so like it's like they need to move on from the old guard. But is there anybody right now that's like besides Santi Jimenez that makes you excited about the future of Mexico?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, I think if you can leave like the striker position to Santi Jimenez, hold on, did I say Santi Jimenez?
Like for example, Marcelo Flores, like the guy that and I was actually really excited about seeing when he was going to make a senior debut. He's back in Tigres now. Well, I don't know if he ever if he was at Tigres before, but now he's at Tigres now. Diego Lainez, someone that everyone thought was going to be another big potential Mexican winger, right? He's playing in Tigres now. Weirdly enough, they're in Tigres. Chucky Lozano, which I still say the dude still has like a few more years left in him. There's rumors now of him going to the MLS, whether it's for the Galaxy or LAFC. Either way, ticket's going to be sold up the wazoo for him. But I don't think he's ready yet to go to the MLS. I think he needs to stay put in Europe because I think the dude has still plenty of.
He still got a good two years.
He's only 29.
He still got a good 2 years in them.
Yeah, so I'm like, but then after that, there's no names that like excite me now for Mexico. Besides Santi Jimenez.
Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? I mean, if you think about it.
Oh, I'm being mean. Edson Alvarez is also still a good one.
I was going to say, what was it? Who else was up and coming when Chucky was there?
Tecatito, but then he got attacked by injuries.
Oh, he just got
injured.
He just got injured so much, man.
Probably would if it wasn't for the injury, he probably would be the best Mexican right now.
He would, I think, man. Shoot.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, now I'm really thinking. I'm like, man. I was like, I don't know, man. It's a lot.
I mean, now you have dual nationals that are getting looks over now. You know, Quiones. I think he actually made the switch from Colombia to Mexico. Who else? I mean, obviously, you know, Funes Mori, but I'm sure not many Mexicans want to see him playing for Mexico right now. Yeah, but now you have dual nationals now playing for Mexico. You know, Julian Araujo, he made the switch. David Ochoa, yeah, that panned out. So yeah, it's weird, man. It's a weird time in Mexico, man. I don't know if, you know, there's been the complaints about Liga MX, like they hold players too long in Liga MX. You know, so like I think that because the worry now is that they don't send enough. I don't know why I said they don't send enough Mexican players to Europe so they can develop, which is kind of like the argument now that like that's the reason why American players are the U.S. team is getting better is because all their best players are in Europe. I mean, it's a fair argument, but I don't know if that because I mean back then Mexico they didn't have many players in Europe. They most of the
they were all straight from America or Chivas.
Yeah, most of them were playing in Liga MX, so I don't necessarily think it's Liga MX's fault. Well, I mean, I think what Liga MX is doing and not taking advantage of making those splash moves from those players, getting that money from Europe, you know, for not taking advantage of that more. Yeah, but that's a whole other thing, not necessarily a player thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, because was it Chavez? I think right, Chavez, the midfielder. He's playing in Russia right now, I think. Which I'm not gonna lie to you, I think that dude should be playing in Spain because Chavez is another player that I thought is really good, but you know, right now playing in Russia. Not saying that Russia's a bad league to play in, but he's not necessarily gonna get he's not gonna get looked at over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If anything, the only teams possible that's high that might look at him, possibly somewhere in the Netherlands, Ajax, PSV. You know, something like that, but he won't.
But that's not a bad place either.
It's not a bad place, but he won't get looked at like Manchester United. You know, he won't get looked at by Manchester City. If anything, he won't get looked at by the big teams. You know,
like Edson Alvarez. I mean, how long was he in Ajax? So he made his move to West Ham. And he moved to West Ham. Like I mean, yeah, West Ham is still a pretty big move. I'm not like, you know, shitting on that move, but I mean, like, you know, Edson Alvarez was being linked to like Borussia Dortmund. You know what I mean? Like, no offense, but I think I'd rather go to a club like Dortmund than go to West Ham. But then it's still Premier League. But I mean, no, but yeah. So this overreaction is only that if Mexico doesn't make it to Copa America, I think it's gonna be hilarious. But I still feel like somehow they're gonna find a way to get Mexico in Copa America, if that makes any sense.
So is your overreaction? So is your overreaction? Mexico might not make it to the cup, or that they're gonna find a way to make it into the cup.
Maybe in this scenario, I think they're gonna find a way to make it to the cup, whether it's just beating Honduras outright, which I still think they're capable of doing it, or I think someone steps in and because, you know, once again, you're missing a huge chunk of viewership when you lose Mexico in a big tournament like Copa America.
Right.
That's going to be in the U.S.
Yeah, and that's what to say. And clearly, you know, it is Mexico has the fan base. So for them to miss out on that, it's like when we were joking, we were like, "Damn!" I was like, "Mexico might not be in the World Cup." Like we were even talking about it, like, "Oh man, they're not. The World Cup's gonna lose money. Like, there's gonna be a lot of people that are not gonna go. They're not gonna watch. Like, the viewership's gonna go down." We were basically, I guess you could call it. It was maybe a joke, not really a big joke, but we knew we were right. But yet they made it. I think US saved their hides, I think, to get into the World Cup because I think it was like when they were playing. But yeah, I mean you're right. It's yeah, I could see it. I could see that they might pull something off and talking about like, oh, so actually in Mexico, it turns out they actually had this many points and there was
It's gonna be a
something
rough
happened.
situation. It's gonna be a rough
Yeah.
situation for Mexico because if you somehow can't beat if you can somehow scrap out a 2-0 victory or a 3-0 victory or just obviously just have more goals more goals than Honduras in Estadio Azteca. Like if you somehow not able to do enough to advance to the semifinals for Nations League, and I'm not saying that Nations League is a bragging point or anything for Honduras maybe. But like because now you're adding that caveat that like the teams that finish in the semifinal are the teams that advance into Copa America. Like that adds a whole other thing, a whole other layer that's like important. And so if Mexico doesn't qualify for Copa America, it is going to lead to another firing. Lozano's out. I'm just gonna say that right there. Like I don't think they keep him, especially after that. I don't know if the federation's gonna end up trying to say, "Hey, we got to fix this," because it's been rough for quite some time for Mexico, and they still haven't seemed to make the proper corrections to it. But this is gonna be like that eye-opening moment where Mexico's gonna like, we need to fix this, or else by 2026, which also they lucked out that 2026 they're one of the host countries because they're automatically in the World Cup. There's nothing.
Yeah.
But like, say if they weren't the host nation and they didn't qualify, all the things that happened for the U.S. in 2018 is basically what's going to happen to Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, so like instead of it the World Cup, it's Copa America, which I mean maybe some Mexico fans would prefer that. But you're talking about an opportunity to play against Argentina, play against Brazil in competitive matches. You don't want to miss out on that. And I think only if Mexico doesn't beat Honduras, which I still think is possible. It's still going to happen. Maybe I jinxed them, maybe I didn't. I don't know, but it's just everything is perfect for Mexico right now because it's in Azteca. It's a team that they normally beat anyways. But I mean, don't think Honduras is going to just let them walk over them. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. Honduras has that, like you say, Honduras has that dog in them. So
they do not.
Oh, not the dog we thinking of. Maybe a small little dog, a small little dog.
They have that shit too in them.
They got that shit too,
Yeah. So,
but yeah, nah. I mean, truthfully, like, yeah, like I agree with you. Like, if they don't make it, yeah, they're gonna lose so much potential, and it's gonna be an eye-opening situation where they're gonna be like, "Damn, we gotta do something about this."
Exactly. But all right, that's our reactions. We're going right into headlines. So the first headline is there is some rumors of Luka Modric wanting out of Real Madrid. So Borja Kuse, I'm gonna assume that that's how you pronounce that last name, is Luka Modric's agent, and he has hinted that, not saying that Modric has stated it, but that he has hinted that there is some teams in Saudi Arabia that are very much interested in bringing Luka Modric over there in January. So instead of waiting till his contract runs out with Real Madrid, there's Saudi Arabia is ready to just dish out the money, which I mean, in hindsight, maybe Real Madrid isn't against it because obviously they're still in need of a 9. So that money from Saudi Arabia could come in very handy for them, especially if they're trying to make a big move come January. And also because, Real Madrid's looking like they're going to be dealing with some injuries. because that's great. Just because from this international break, but yeah. So I mean, the reason why this is getting brought up is because obviously Luka Modric. Well, I mean, he's not young anymore. I mean, we've been saying I don't know how many times we've said this at this point about Luka Modric. He's just not getting younger. He's I think he's 36 years old now. 36, 37, somewhere around there. So far this season, he's played 15 matches, but has only started in 6, which means obviously the rest of the games he's been coming off the bench. Which I mean, if you're a player like Luka Modric or any player in general, especially the caliber of where Luka Modric is, because I would say maybe he's Croatia's greatest player, like in history.
What about Mandzukic?
Mandzukic is a good name, but I mean, like, look what Modric. What I think is Modric's generation. I should probably put that as an emphasis, but obviously, like, Luka Modric has been the captain for Croatia. I think also in 2018. So he's been part of this team, and I mean they made it pretty far in both of those World Cups. I think they're actually in contention for the Euro as well right now. And Modric still, I don't know if Modric still plays, but obviously Modric, I keep saying that the man has found the fountain of youth sometimes the way he plays. But once again, the other thing is though, Real Madrid has a lot of young midfielders, a lot of them. Federico Valverde, Bellingham. People forget that he's a midfielder. He is a midfielder. He just scores a lot of goals.
He has that fucking power kick, man.
Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Then Dani Ceballos. Some people forget about that guy. But yeah, so like there's a lot of younger. I'm not gonna say all of them are young, but a lot of younger midfielders than Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos and Luka Modric are kind of being pushed out on the wayside because, well, Real Madrid's got to move on at some point. It's not that these guys are falling off. It's just they're just not the same players.
Yeah.
So if the rumor is true that he wants more, and I mean, Luka Modric came out and made a statement that he loves Real Madrid, which is kind of what. Obviously, this is all before the injuries happen because, like, once again, Camavinga is dealing with some injuries. I think Tchouaméni as well. So you're definitely gonna need them now more than ever. So I think it's a little bit different now in the current situation now for Real Madrid. But I mean, Luka Modric, at the end of the day, you still want to play. Does he leave right now to go to Saudi Arabia? Or, I mean, there's still that rumor of him going to the MLS and playing with Inter Miami. But do you see Luka Modric leaving in January?
I don't think January. He may want. Let's put it this way: he may want out now because of not because like, oh, I don't want to be in Real Madrid anymore, but it's like he senses it. Like he senses it. Like he already knows it's my time to go. Like my time to move on. I think he may wait till the summer.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like he wants his farewell to be like right as soon as the season's ending. I'm sure. Like I'm 100% of that.
Yeah, and once again, right now with Real Madrid now dealing with some key injuries in the midfield, I don't see them letting Modric go now because they definitely need him to help out with depth. But
yeah,
at least I don't think Real Madrid is now personally inclined because once again, Modric I don't know if Modric is just trying to stir some buzz or what he's trying to do. Being an agent, I think, is like the more important is what he's actually being, which is
right.
it is his job to do it. But a January move, like at the end of the day, the Real Madrid still has agreed to it. Now, if the club wanted to speak to, Luka Modric and basically setting up a contract for when his contract is up with him, that's a whole different story. But for him to leave in January, that would require that for them and for the club in Saudi Arabia, whether it's Al Nassr, Al Ittihad, or whatever, whatever Al it is, obviously, it all is going to be dependent on what Real Madrid does with with uh with Luka with Luka Modric. So yeah, I think that's just the big thing.
Yeah. So I mean, the end to it's kind of like bittersweet. Like he gave Barcelona such a hard time a lot of the time, but to watch him leave La Liga, yeah, it's heart wrenching a little bit.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
it's just
he's a hell of a good
it's
player.
it's like the end of an era, because like especially when Luka Modric, a young Luka Modric, those were some pretty loaded Real Madrid Barcelona teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like with a
Yep.
lot of legendary players. So I mean, we might have to take a look back at like a throwback team from Real Madrid Barcelona. Just
Yeah.
just remember the times. If I keep looking back, it's because Trinidad and Tobago are playing USA right now. But yeah. So Luka Modric, I think he's staying put at Real Madrid. I don't think he's going elsewhere. At least
Yeah, I
not
think he's
till the
not
end of this season.
not anytime soon. If anything, maybe he'll get convinced for one more season, but that's it. Like I think that would be it. So they can like, you know, have him leave, like actually have time to plan out. I mean, no lie, fucking half a season is enough time to plan, somebody's farewell, in the stadium and everything. But maybe they might want like one more year to actually plan it right and everything. Like all they do
It's like
every time that one of
Vin
their great
Diesel,
ones
one
leave.
last ride.
Yeah. Hey, Modric is basically the Vin Diesel of that.
Who's I was gonna say Paul Walker, but no, let's not do that. let's not go there. But all right, the next headline is Alessandro Florenzi. He is now the newest name of Italian players that have been put under investigation in the Italian betting scandal. Which, if you guys don't know the Italian betting scandal, it's been discovered now that there's been a lot of Italian players that have been betting on their matches, on their team's matches, for quite some time. And the player that initially got caught was Fagioli of Juventus, who we end up discovering that this kid has kid. I got to point that out. Maybe not kid, but this young man. He basically accumulated over $3 million of debt. And was struggling.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, anyways, he ends up getting caught for betting, and during his what's it called when they interview you, deposition. During his deposition, he basically mentioned some names, and the names that were initially mentioned was Nicolo Zaniolo, who I believe currently plays in West Ham or Aston Villa. I just know it's one of those color schemes. It's that color scheme. That's the only thing I could think of. He might be West Ham. Maybe West Ham. And the
You
other
mean like
name,
that purple and gold?
it's like maroon, burgundy or maroon, something around like that. But I think it's West Ham United that I think he plays for. But Nicola Zaniolo was one of the names that he dropped, and then he also mentioned Sandro Tonali. And if you guys don't know, Sandro Tonali has already been suspended for 10 months. So he will not be able to play a single game of football, and that includes internationally, till next season.
Ouch.
As a matter of fact, after the Euro. So yeah, he won't be able to play till August. And I believe Zaniolo and Fagiolo are also getting 7-month bans. I don't know if Zaniolo got punished yet, but I know they said that his punishment was going to be actually significantly worse than Tonali's. So yeah, it. But now Alessandro Florenzi, is another player that has been dropped. He is currently playing for AC Milan, and obviously also plays for Italy. I don't think Florenzi is a captain of AC Milan, but I know he plays. That's all I know. But he's just another Italian that has been mentioned on this Italian betting scandal. So the issue is that these guys are betting on their matches. They're not betting against their teams. They're actually betting. So essentially, it's what Pete Rose did. Pete Rose, legendary baseball player, played for the Cincinnati Reds. Actually got banned from baseball. So this guy can never. This dude was a legendary hitter, one of the best hitters of all time. Definitely his generation's greatest hitter of all time. And because he got caught betting, and also became a manager as well, but he ended up getting caught betting on his team, and so then he got banned. So once again, betting on his team, he never bet against them, so it wasn't that he was fixing games by any means. So that's essentially what was happening with the Italian teams, with the Italian players. I don't know why I said teams, the Italian players. And the reason why I mentioned this is because there's a strict no gambling policy across all major sports. It is actually something that I remember when I was working for the Rockets, the Astros, and the Dynamo, that we actually had to sign a no betting agreement, that we were not to gamble on any sport, not only to not bet on the sport we worked in, but also in sports in general. And you're talking about an employee that has no impact on the game, maybe.
Yeah. the towel wiper from the floors in the Rockets games.
Yeah, like people that literally have no impact to the game are being put on these no betting contracts, and so are these. And once again, if you imagine that's what they're giving to us, they're also doing the same thing with the players. And yeah, I think, is there anything wrong against gambling? I personally would say no. I've gambled a few times, but I don't bet anything crazy. Once again, if you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. Because especially if you're like Fagioli, who is now $3 million in debt, definitely you should not be gambling. But yeah, so but the reason why that these teams have this strict anti-betting policy is because of the fact that let's just avoided at all costs of risking match fixing. And it's something that's happened all across the world of sports. Match fixing is a common thing. I don't think any of these guys were fixing matches by any means, but there is a history of match fixing in the sport. I mean, there was 15 Salvadoran players that were banned for quite some time from playing internationally because of El Salvador getting caught fixing matches, which is mind-boggling to me how you got caught when you lose anyways. But and they're not doing well either now. But so that's mind-boggling. But it happens. And I mean, if you guys obviously I don't have Netflix anymore, but if you guys do have Netflix and you watch Bad Sport, you can learn about some great scandals, especially the ones that involve gambling. But yeah, so I mean, the reason why that they have this anti-gambling policy is for the reason that they want to just avoid match fixing. And if you look even in the UK more specifically, there has been a very touchy subject of these gambling websites being sponsors for kids. As a matter of fact, I believe if a club has a gambling sponsor, when you try to buy a youth jersey, it doesn't have the sponsor on it, because obviously you don't want to promote gambling with children.
Right.
And so to tell you subject, obviously Ivan Toney, he's dealing with his thing because he also got caught with gambling, with sports gambling, to be more specific. So yeah. So that's what's going on. And so Alessandro Florenzi is just yet another player that has been caught doing some illegal betting. But I think the reason why we call it the Italian betting scandal is because more and more we're finding out more Italian players that are being thrown into the mix of this betting scandal, that it literally does involve a lot of Italian players. Because if you guys want to know how far deep, for example, Sandro Tonali, his betting actually went all the way back to his times in Brescia. So before he even played for AC Milan, he was playing for Brescia. Then obviously went to AC Milan. Then makes his move that was very shocking to everybody that went to Newcastle United. So some people were wondering if AC Milan knew about it, because pretty quick that they were able to not have to worry about losing their star center midfielder. But anyways, now that this has all been unraveled in front of you, what are your thoughts of this Italian betting scandal?
Well, I mean, it goes around. Like, that's the thing. It's like they're just trying to uncover and trying to do any foul play, and a lot of the times, especially because of the people that play sports, they do have the chance to actually impact the game. They could bet against themselves and play like the shittiest game ever. They could, so it's just I think it's even though, like I said, he's a kid, maybe kind of be lenient about it. But honestly,
Oh no, Florenzi's a grown man.
Oh, he's a grown man. Okay.
Yeah,
You said
Florenzi.
he's a kid, so
No, Fagioli, who currently is at Juventus. He's the one that has the $3 million in debt.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot. Truthfully, I think he deserves any form of punishment, because I mean, you know better. That's the thing. It's like, better. You're grown. They've explained the rules to you, but yet, still acting like that, especially full well knowing that is basically the rule to be playing in a professional sports team. Like, you can't bet at all. Excuse me. And then even you said it, like, even the people, like, they try to put that on there. Like, even the people that don't have impact on the game, like, could be the ball boy, could be the towel boy, like
the ticket sales rep at the ticket booth.
Yeah, the ticket booth guy, the concession stand guy,
yeah, every single one of them has to sign an agreement to not gamble.
I
still gambled. I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm not gonna say anything. I knew about that, but I didn't say. But still, God, you're making me feel like I did I'm a bad friend, kind of making you rat yourself out, kind of shit.
Oh no, I already said this when me and Jose talked about it initially, about the Italian betting scandal. But
okay.
So we already mentioned this. I was like, yeah, I still gambled. I mean, I signed the agreement. As a matter of fact, I actually bet against the Rockets. So,
oh man. But I think the punishment for him it was needed.
Yeah, no, I think so. Obviously, Florenzi is going to be another. This is going to start hurting some Italian, any team that has some of these Italian players that are part of this Italian betting scandal, but more so should be Italy. But Italy actually just, I think they actually are now advancing to the Euro. So it's going to be a very interesting team how that's going to look like with now that you remove a Sandro Tonali, a Nicolo Zaniolo, Alessandro Florenzi. I mean, this probably was going to be his final Euro as an Italian player, because he's up there in age. Ironically enough, Donnarumma his name has not been dropped on this scandal, but he's probably more hated on than anybody else. because of the PSG move.
Yep.
So yeah,
for sure he is
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So as more players continue to be dropped in, this is going to be very interesting once again, especially when you're talking about these guys that are going to be getting hit with these 7-month, 10-month bans. Like, you know, these guys are going to miss out on the Euro. And I'm not saying that, like, you know, like, this isn't like Friday Night Lights where I'm over here trying to complain to the coach about it's a championship game. You got to have my kid play. No, I'm not saying like that. But, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see because most of these guys are guys that do play for the senior Italian team. And so, like, how does Italy as a federation, like, adapt over it? Do they still have a quality team or do... And remember, Italy won the last Euro. So, you know, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on Italy come this Euro. Just for the fact that, one, they won the Euro last time, and now, two, you're going into this Euro, and you're not going to have maybe anybody except for Donnarumma. So it's gonna be interesting to see who is available for Italy come the Euro.
Yeah, I mean, it's they might be playing with like new kids, you know, like they'll be like, hey, we've never even seen this dude. They might be picking up some kids from the street, you know what I'm talking about?
Hey, U20 guys, I know you guys are supposed to be playing for the U20 Euros, but let's go.
Well, we need somebody.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Maybe there's some Italian Americans that they can go after.
Right? I wouldn't be surprised, dude. Honestly, that dual citizenship kind of stuff.
Hey, Yunus Musa, you sure you don't want to play for Italy?
It's like, you sure you don't want to play, man? Because I mean,
who wants to play in Copa America?
Jeez.
Or the Olympics.
Oh man.
But anyways, so yeah, that's going on with Italy. The last headline is Argentina versus Uruguay, and what a game that was. Maybe not necessarily scoreline wise because Uruguay won 2-0, but it was everything that had encompassed in this game. And I think people don't realize that Uruguay and Argentina, there's some beef between them. Not necessarily the game wise, but diplomatical reasons. Because I can honestly tell you, to be safe, it's safe to say that there's a lot of countries in South America that doesn't necessarily like the Argentinians, and it's not just soccer based. So
yep.
So there's a lot of things that are going on with this game, but yes, Uruguay did beat Argentina 2-0, and Argentina ends up having to accept their first loss since the 2022 World Cup, which some people are like, oh my God, that's crazy. Not really. I mean, you're going to lose eventually. I mean, it's just bound to happen. But obviously, once again, all the drama that was going on with this game, right now, everyone just loves Argentina because of Messi and the World Cup. And so, but, you know, especially when you're the team that won the World Cup, there's a target on your back, right? Especially when you still have not lost a game since the World Cup. There's still a target on you, which it wasn't that long ago. It seems they make it. The fact that this is Argentina suffered their first loss since the 22 World Cup, I was like, dude, it was literally a year ago. And it's not like we have many international matches. It's not like we have like an international match like every week. You know what I mean? So it's not really that impressive. Let's pump the brakes on that one. But yeah, things got pretty heated in the game, and then there was a altercation between Ugarte and Rodrigo De Paul, where, everybody likes to say that De Paul is like Messi's enforcer. I think that's what they say about him, right? That's what they say, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. So I was like, I know I'm not crazy for saying that, but anyways, so Ugarte called De Paul a bottle feeder, and then made a gesture, and it was like a gesture of what's the word I want to use to explain the gesture? It's kind of like putting a bottle in your mouth, but think of something else in a shape of a bottle. Maybe not a bottle. Maybe like a pipe. But not made of metal. And imagine someone. Basically, he was saying that he gives Messi blowjobs. Is what I'm saying. That's literally all. I don't know why I'm trying to censor. It's not like we have like children watching this or anything. Yeah, basically, Ugarte made a gesture that he gives Messi blowjobs, and then we had the iconic moment where Messi went and choked him. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so things got pretty heated again. No red card, surprisingly. I will say that but once again, maybe it's because you don't want to give Messi a red card. But yeah, so that game got pretty tough, which is what you expect from a Argentina Uruguay game, anyways. It is a rivalry. Some people may not know that, but it is. But yeah, so nothing really affects it. I mean, yes, Argentina lost, but they're still first place in CONMEBOL qualifying. So, which is crazy to think that we're already doing World Cup qualifiers and it's only 2023.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, so Argentina is still in first place, still in prime position to still go to the 2026 World Cup. Uruguay, I believe is in second place now. But yeah, eventually they had to lose a game. Argentina does have a really big game coming up because they're going to be facing off against Brazil, who things are not looking as good for them because one, they're currently fifth place. They're currently in fifth place in CONMEBOL qualifiers, which I believe is the last spot you can be in for CONMEBOL qualifiers to qualify for the World Cup. Vinicius Jr. is out with an injury. You don't have Neymar, but Endrick, that he looks pretty good. But yeah, so Brazil kind of slumping right now. Definitely don't want to lose against Argentina. But yeah, so that's gonna be a pretty big game. It's gonna be interesting how that pans out. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this Argentina Uruguay match?
So I was not expecting this, Aka. It was a pretty intense match altogether. And of course, yeah, I was expecting Messi to do something because I mean everybody was expecting Messi to do something. But Uruguay was able to, keep him at bay. I like it was surprising, but at the same time, it's like it shows that Uruguay isn't just like a second rate. That yeah, you have Argentina, yeah, you have Brazil. Uruguay does have talent as well, and they demonstrated it. They showed it.
No, yeah,
It's
I do agree with that. And honestly, the other thing that I took from this game is that are we kind of seeing a golden generation of Uruguay?
like could it be the second coming of Diego Forlan? Maybe.
Because I mean, think about it. You have Darwin Nunez, who's now getting a little bit more polished as a player, especially now with Liverpool. But now he's now gonna become the guy up top for Uruguay. Pelestri, who doesn't really play that much for Manchester United, but there's some quality there, and I was seeing that in that game. Yeah, Ronald Araujo, who you might argue is probably one of the best defenders in the world right now. Matter of fact, you can also put him, whether you put him at center back or right back, like he's able to do the job pretty well. Your midfield, you have Ugarte and you have Federico Valverde, my adopted son, who's captain. So
this dude has like I don't know how many adopted sons everywhere.
It's like 4, maybe 4.
Ironically, they're not all in the same place. Like when I mean the same place, the same country.
Hey, you want an international rainbow. So actually, I think 2 of them are Brazil.
All right, Big Mom.
No, it's just one big happy family, one big happy adopted family. But yeah, no, like I mean, like when you look at some of these players, man, and and once again, Uruguay is a small country. It is a very small. I'm not saying it's El Salvador small, but it's definitely a small country, and it's able to pull out like a lot of very like world-class talent. So yeah, I think like just to not only mention like how tough they play, but I feel like this might be a golden generation of Uruguayan players.
Yeah. I mean it. That's what I'm saying. Like I guess you could say like who. Okay, if you had to pick, who would it be that Uruguay is resting their team on?
What do you
Like
mean?
if you had to pick one of the players, like you know how everybody was saying that Diego Forlan was leading Uruguay back then. Okay, how about this up and coming generation? Who do you think would be the man to step up and take the reins?
Obviously my adopted son Federico Valverde.
Okay.
All right, let me just tell you the players. Like obviously Darwin Nunez up top. On the right
Hmm.
side you had Palestri. Um, Once again, the jury is still up there, but I did like what I saw from him. Another Araujo that plays on the left side, Nick, I believe it's Nicolas de la Cruz. He's also a good player. Valverde in that back line. You have Vina, Oliveira, Caceres. Really, he still plays. Ronald Araujo. Now goalkeeper. You're seeing this Rochet. He looks pretty decent actually. And I mean, you have Vinas. If you guys haven't been watching the MLS, Facundo Torres, keep an eye out for that kid. That kid's going to Europe at some point. Um, there's a lot of like young players that are really to be really excited about for Uruguay. So like, I'm not saying that this is a golden generation, but there does seem to be a lot of young players that have some real high potential, and still pretty young. And some of them are playing for some of the big teams in Europe.
Yeah. Okay.
And USA is tied 1-1 with Trinidad and Tobago.
That boy Hector's just paying attention. He's like, he wants to make sure.
I mean, on aggregate, they're up 4-1. So,
Yeah.
but
you want to make sure it stays that way.
look, man, I'm not trying to have any like Vietnam flashbacks of the last time that, well, not the 2018 World Cup qualifiers. Don't want to remember that. But yeah, at the end of it all, the Uruguay played their great game. Some people are gonna say like, "Oh, this is out of character of Argentina." Is it though? Is it though?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know about y'all, but lately there's been some attitude with this Argentina team, and I love it. I'm just gonna say that I actually
I
love the
mean,
attitude.
as mu-
Like
and as much
2022 World Cup, that was the most fun I've ever had watching Argentina, and they were dogs, like every single one of them. Even Messi with the Bobo thing. Like, I thought that was hilarious. Messi being petty was probably like, this is my favorite version of Messi. It's just petty Messi. Like, just keep giving me petty Messi. Like, I don't need this humble guy. Like, look at my happy family. Look at my big ass dog. I want him to be the big ass dog.
So this dude, so instead of you loving Messi for being humble, for being basically being the nice guy, the quiet guy, and like, oh, like how he was in Barcelona at the beginning and everything, like he was not letting the light shine. You want the dude who's like, no, that's my ball. I'm gonna take the free kick. That's my penalty. I want that shit.
No,
Like
I
that's
mean,
what
he's
you.
not doing that. I'm not saying he's doing that. I'm saying he's just showing he's finally showing that he has some bite with his bark. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I don't know when he moved to Miami and he was like, I need to start watching some Miami based like shows to get an idea of what Miami's like, and he found Scarface, and like I think that's what it is. Like he just
Say hello to my little friend.
bro is just like, man, this country's a pussy just ready to get fucked at this point. Like I love it. I love this version of Messi, man. Like he like from the bro, like have we ever seen Messi just like when he walked up, like when he ran up to the bench and did the little the whatever ear thing whatever that was to Van Gaal, like did you not just say
Oh yeah.
I freaking love that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I love this version of Messi. Messi being a dog is just hilarious. Like he's just not backing out from anybody. And I mean, yes, it helped out that his team was like they were literally ready to fight for Messi. Like I'm not saying that they were just not figuratively, like they were ready to brawl for Messi. Rodrigo being one of them. because that's what it was. There was this team with attitude, and it makes you think of like some of the tough teams from back in the day. You know what I mean? Like bringing the bad boys, Detroit Pistons. Like these guys were gonna play you ugly. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this was not like the flashy Argentina. This was, we're gonna punch you in the mouth and score a goal on you. It was freaking Emi Martinez, humping a trophy.
And ironically, yeah. No, I was just gonna say something.
No, say it.
And ironically, he got scored on with a ball between his legs.
That's just poetic justice right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, when you are that team, and let's face it, that is Argentina. Argentina, till proven differently, is the team you want to beat, and everyone wants to beat the team, and so yes, you're gonna do all those antics, but when you do suffer those losses, don't be surprised when you get clowned on. And I think that's kind of what we saw from Argentina in this game was that, hey, you finally shot yourself in the foot. You know what I mean? Because Emi Martinez being this boisterous, character at goalkeeper, gets scored on between his legs. Ironically enough, you got Rodrigo being called Messi's little pet, and he got mad about it. It's like, you do all this stuff, you're gonna get called out on it. Remember, Rodrigo was the one that made the video of him doing little passing drills and say, pass it to Messi, right? It was him.
Yep.
So like you're doing all this cool stuff, and I'm not saying don't do it. Do it. I love the content. But when you get humbled up, don't be surprised that they're gonna talk back to you. And I mean, I will say, it was funny that Messi at the end of it all said, like, these guys need to learn how to respect their elders. I was just like, dude, like someone needs to teach them a lesson. You probably should have, but you didn't. But it just wasn't their day. That's literally what it was at that point. It just wasn't their game. Uruguay had the better game plan going into it, and that's why they won. But when you're a team like Argentina, like everyone's gonna be literally going after your throat, like Messi did with Ugarte. But it's just that's what's gonna happen. But I think Argentina responded the right way. Like hey, it happens. We took our loss, but it's on to Brazil. And I know for a fact that they are definitely not going to lose. They're not going to try to lose to Brazil, especially an underperforming Brazil right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll also insert the update on what happened with Argentina and Brazil right here. All right, another update for me. Yes, Argentina did in fact beat Brazil 1-0. Crazy game. I know I said that we might cover the Mexico game. Maybe we may not, but we definitely are going to cover this for next episode because it was fucking insane. So, but yes, Argentina did in fact beat Brazil 1-0. So Brazil, it's not looking great for Brazil. Not looking great for Brazil, but Argentina did get the win. So this can either pan out for me or it's not going to pan out for me when I said that statement. But yeah, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up with this last headline?
Nope, you said it right on the money.
All right, so we're gonna take.
You like to see Messi as a dog, and you got him.
Dog Messi is my. I just need Messi to come out of Miami one day, like in a leather jacket.
Oh God, damn.
Maybe not leather.
The Gucci. No, what about the Gucci long coat, the long trench coat jacket?
That makes me think he's a streaker.
He's a streaker. Are you talking about like a leather jacket? Are you talking about like the Sons of Anarchy, like a leather jacket?
Like a Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Okay, I guess.
Or it could just be Florida man.
Florida man, just dude.
No, but yeah, this petty Messi, I'm loving it all for it. What is it with like Latin based players and choking people? Like It always seems to be the go-to for a lot. I mean, we've seen Hector Herrera do it. Everyone just seems to like to grab players by the neck. It's an interesting thing. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna take a break. You guys are gonna hear me and Jose Tellez preview the MLS Cup Conference Semifinals. So you'll hear me and Jose Tellez, founder and creator of GolzTV, and then they'll go straight to me and Edward with Players of the Week and games for the upcoming weekend. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and you'll hear us back for Players of the Week.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, MLS Cup Conference Semifinals. Took almost a whole damn month to do it, but I mean, we're here.
We're here.
But yeah, obviously joining me is Jose Tellez, founder of GolzTV, which this MLS Cup Conference Semifinal, that is so many fucking words, is brought to you by GolzTV. GolzTV is the Hulu of soccer content here in the U.S. So if you guys are trying to figure out what the hell do us Yanks know about this game, well, that is the one place as well. It's got a lot of content. You can find us, InsertName FC, on there. Obviously, Jose Tellez, the creator of GolzTV. You can find him with Yanks the Round Table and Wake Up MLS. Some really cool content that they have over there, and much other great things. Whether you're a specific MLS fan, USL, shout out, because they also just got coverage and highlights from the USL. Congratulations, by the way. Didn't actually get to do that at one point.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, so much content. And it's that one-stop shop for everything. So go ahead and check out Golz.tv, GOLZ.tv. It is free to subscribe right now. Still
100% free to subscribe, man. And a ton of new content coming, man. We're getting it, ready to hit, I think, an interesting point of the year. MLS Cup playoffs is, in a weird way, coming back. That's what it kind of feels like. So there's plenty more MLS content to come. USL season just wrapped. So I think, if you appreciated how crazy the playoffs were and you want to relive any of those memories, all of those highlights are available on GolzTV today. And we got a ton more on the way. So anybody who supports grassroots American soccer, wants to see it grow, that's a one-stop shop for everything American soccer content. Go check it out.
Exactly. So, all right. Before we get to the conference, it's the quarterfinals. It's the fucking quarterfinals. I don't know why the hell we say all this.
It's true. It's the quarterfinals, technically.
This is just like a tongue twister saying MLS Cup Conference Semifinals. It can't be done. Anyways, but yeah, the quarterfinals are here. But before we get to that, we'll talk about the first round of that best of three series. Before we talk about it, though, all right, it happened. We witnessed it.
Yep.
What's the verdict?
You know what, man? A lot of people think it's clear cut, because I think if you looked at social media while this best of three was being played out in round one, especially as we entered the round, entered game ones, a lot of people pooping on this format. A lot of people, myself kind of included. It just was confusing to kind of witness a best of three and anything outside of MLB. But with that said, look, man, almost 50% of all of the round one matchups went to a game three out of the 8. A lot of people will say, oh, it's just 3. Well, it's 3 out of the 8. Nearly half of all the round one matchups went to a game 3. So that's something to kind of be encouraged by if you're Don Garber at MLS. There was some drama there that forced game 3s. There weren't as many PK shootouts as I was hoping for. I know, you being a Houston fan, Hector, and Houston fans everywhere, 2 out of the 3 going to shootouts is actually really dramatic. Kind of interesting there. But that was also, in my opinion, the closest matchup in the West. I thought it was almost impossible to pick Dynamo or Salt Lake, even though I was giving the nod to Houston. Outside of that, though, the other 2 game 3s, Seattle, Dallas, very straightforward. Atlanta, Columbus, even more straightforward. So all in all, it's like I'm not as mad that we tested it. We tried it. We saw a couple cool things, a few surprises here and there. But at the end of the day, right? I mean, the biggest upset that happened was SKC knocking out St. Louis. That happened in 2 games. That a lot of this could have been accomplished in a 2-leg format. And maybe we could have gotten deeper into the playoff run before the international break got here. And we took a 2-week pause or hiatus and possibly killed some of the momentum that the fans were having with MLS Cup playoffs. So there were some good, there were some bad. I still think it needs to go away and we figure out a different format, but I'm not going to hate on it as much as everybody else was in the beginning. I think it was different. I give, I guess some kind of props to the commissioner for trying something new. I'm sure they squeezed every bit of ad revenue they probably could, from the 3-leg format. But I am kind of ready to go back to what's tried and true, what works. I like score lines mattering, if that kind of makes sense. I like those to matter. And I feel like the score lines game over game just didn't matter that much in this format. So good opportunity to try something out that's new, but I think it would work a whole lot better for the league and for the fans if we reverted back to what we all know playoffs should look like.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And also the other thing is just that the game 1 winners were the ones that ended up going on to the next round. Not to sound corny, but I don't think that there was like the one that won game 1 didn't advance in any of these. But yeah, like the only real dramatic one was the Dynamo, and I mean, obviously it was 2 draws.
Yeah,
it was 2 draws that went to penalties. And the reality of penalties, it's anybody's game at that point. So, and it was almost close to almost be that case. But I think for me, I think you would get the same amount of drama with an aggregate score.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, I mean, shoot, speaking of aggregates, I mean, USA and Trinidad and Tobago, even though I don't want to relive that, but it went to aggregate, and you saw the drama of that second leg because of, and then everyone's getting Vietnam flashbacks from Trinidad and Tobago in 2018.
Seriously.
But yeah, and so I think there's still an appeal where, yes, maybe you would have to explain it to like the non-casual soccer fan. I mean, which that's probably not even a thing. But yes, you have to explain to that. But I think if you're, especially when you still have Messi Mania still being still going to be a theme, you still have to find a way to latch those fans into that. And I think the leg is the better way to do it. The best of 3 was an idea. That's all. That's like the nice way of me saying it.
Yeah, and that's like I said, like we didn't know, right? I think a lot of fans like had their own opinions on whether or not a best of 3 could work, and then that's why the minute it was announced, weeks before the first balls ever kicked in playoffs, there were so many people just taking a dump on the format, and we hadn't even seen it, right? We hadn't seen it in action, and so I'm a big fan of not leaning into assumptions. I think, you try it out, it either works or it doesn't. If it does, great. Maybe there's ways to tune it and tweak it a little bit to make it even better. But if it doesn't, I can't knock it, right? You tried something new. And at the end of the day, if there was a way to like Americanize, soccer in this league, in this country, that probably was the way to do it, right? Was to make the playoff, which is supposed to be the most exciting time of this entire season, of this entire league, make it as relatable and exciting to casual sports fans in this country as you possibly can. Best way to do that, make it as comparable in format and structure to other professional leagues that these sports fans are watching. And so we all kind of mentioned it. It felt similar to like MLB or anything else. We like other franchise leagues. We tried it. I don't know if we'll go away from it. We may have to deal with this again next year. Who knows? But I'm with you, Hector. I think that this is something that we learned from, probably, for the best, and should move on to, I think, what we all know to be the proper format.
Yeah, exactly. But all right, recapping the first round, we'll go to the Eastern Conference first, and FC Cincinnati proving that there wasn't going to be any playoff jitters as the first seed, ends up handling their business and sweeping Red Bulls New York, which honestly, it was expected. I'm not shocked by it. But Red Bull New York, I mean, there's rumors now that your guys are going to go ahead and take a bunch of guys from RB Leipzig. So that's, at least you got that going for you guys. But yeah, there was a sweep there. There was also another sweep as Philadelphia Union beat New England Revolution. Don't think anybody was surprised by that. New England though looked a little bit better going into the playoffs, it still never looked like that team that we all thought Bruce Arena was going to. The rebuild maestro, as so many people would feel for the MLS, it just didn't pan out. Not because of him, it was just speculation that possibly he maybe had done. But that is still a thing. Columbus Crew ends up beating Atlanta 2-1 in their series. Atlanta United proving that at least they have home field advantage, but the injuries just wasn't enough to keep them going against a Columbus Crew team that looks pretty complete, honestly.
Yep.
And then second place, Orlando City just did what they had to do against Nashville. Nashville, I don't know what the hell happened to them. I used to really praise this team a lot, and Orlando City just looks like that team right now.
Yeah, I agree, bro. So let's start with the top. I think so the Red Bulls and Cincinnati matchup was interesting, right? I think I had an interview with Mark Fishkin, who's if you're a Red Bulls fan, you know who this guy is. He's had the Seeing Red podcast up and running since like 2010, like right when the Red Bulls were created, and so probably the biggest content OG in that market. And we're talking about this matchup and just what to expect from it before it even got kicked off, and I think it went the way that we all thought it would. Mark described it as in order for the Red Bulls to have a chance, they needed to basically make the game like a shit show. Right, they needed to the exact words he used were they needed to drag Cincinnati into this pit. There's one knife in the pit, and only one team gets out alive, and really just kind of had to make it as much of that physical dogfight as you possibly could. I think they did a pretty decent job, more so in game 2. Right, they had 2 different opportunities in that penalty kick shootout to end it, send it to a game 3. Make it a shit show. They didn't. And you can argue that they were kind of playing with house money a little bit, right? I think they made it into playoffs on decision day. A lot of teams in the East were in contention for those wild card spots. They got fortunate with some results and worked their way in, but once they got in, dominated Charlotte, and I would say give Cincinnati a game minus those 3 terrible mistakes that led to goals in game 1. Like they did a pretty decent job. Mm-hmm. I got a little bit of a hot take, though. I think with what I see on the internet today about FC Cincinnati, a lot of fans, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, they're just not giving them a chance going into the next round. I think that's because maybe the Red Bulls survived game 2 and almost forced a game 3, maybe because they're Supporters Shield winners. I don't know. And there is that whole curse, right, that Supporters Shield winners don't go on to do anything in MLS Cup. I don't know if I believe in that per se. I think there's a lot of history there. But until the number 1 seed gives you a reason to not believe in them, I just think it's foolish to go to bet against them. I think we talked about it on another episode previously, right? They have arguably the MVP on that roster, a pretty damn good defense, despite what may or may not happen to Matt Miazga. There's a lot to be excited about, even if they had that playoff jitter game that no one was excited about against the Red Bulls, right? So I wouldn't read into it too much. I think I don't want to give too much of foreshadowing for what will happen in the next game, but I think Cincinnati just took care of business and is moving on. So from that game specifically, I think everybody picked Cincy, but I still have them making a significantly deeper run past this first game.
And I think the only reason why there'd be at least some doubts with FC Cincinnati, I think when you look at the teams that did advance to the quarterfinals, there's a lot of playoff experience specifically for 2 teams specifically, but there's also a team that even though finished very good in the Eastern Conference in Orlando, but is looking like that dark horse team. Very talented team, a lot of potential. Facundo Torres, obviously a guy probably should be going to Europe pretty soon.
I think so, yeah.
And so, which funny enough, I'll talk about a potential golden generation for Uruguay with me and Edward earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's literally I think because of what is to come for FC Cincinnati, and then obviously the Supporters Shield curse, which is always a fun one to throw up there. But yeah, I think FC Cincinnati is still a capable team. It's just that now you just went through you just went through the easy part of the tournament. Now you're going in where it's going to be a little bit more treacherous. It's going to be a lot more treacherous than it was to get when you got to this point now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, but with that said, right, it's like, this is, if there was a time to have those easier matches and get the jitters out, right? Because for them, this is still progress, right? I know Patton, I think it was today or yesterday, right, got awarded MLS Coach of the Year, and the work he's done in this 3-year time there with Cincinnati has been fantastic. You know, they won one playoff game last season. They're already kind of progressing even further this season, and so some will say that like this is enough. This should be good enough. I just think that we saw so much Cincinnati dominance at home, and they are still a relatively new team when it comes to playoffs, that I'm not very discouraged by the jitters that they showed against the Red Bulls, which by the way, people forget, as much as they barely squeaked in this year, there's not a longer playoff streak in the league. The New York Red Bulls have been doing this for well over a decade, longer than any other team, consistently making playoffs year in and year out. You know, and as someone who's a Dallas fan, and I look for that kind of consistency with my own team. I think that that's something that you know, fans just forget. They look at, you know, this year's standings and say, hey, Cincinnati should have wiped the floor with the Red Bulls. It's a different beast entirely when we're talking about postseason and experience in the postseason. So give Cincy some credit. You know, I just think that they're Supporters Shield winners for a reason, and I expect the TQL Stadium to be rocking for the next playoff game.
No, yeah, I mean that's I think the big advantage going into the next round. It is a one-off playoff game. There's no game 2, there's no game 3. Like it's win or go home, and obviously you're talking about Cincinnati. The weather is going to be an advantage depending on who they're facing off, which is Philadelphia. So maybe weather goes out of the wayside, but it is going to be that crowd that's going to be very important, that they stay in it throughout the game, and not how they did it against Inter Miami in the U.S. Open Cup. But
seriously,
and I'm sure they're not going to want that to happen again. But in the rest of the Eastern Conference, okay, so Philadelphia and New England, I don't think anything shocking of it, how it went down. Is this the same Philadelphia team from last year that was in the final? I really don't think it is, which is crazy to think from 1 year ago. But it felt like, I don't want to say that they're getting, I guess, complacent in some sense, but it feels like that for me.
Yeah, I don't know if complacent is the right word, but I see what you mean. I think it's like, look, the matchup against the Revs was very straightforward. You know, they did display the sort of quote unquote dominance that I was looking for and expecting from Philly in this first matchup. It is a decent team in the Revs, but you mentioned Bruce Arena before. Ever since that whole scandal took place with him this past, you know, regular season, they just haven't been the same team. They really haven't. Like, they've looked like a shell of themselves, and I didn't expect much from them coming into playoffs. If they would have gotten past the Union, it would have been a big surprise for me. So, but comparing this Union to last year's team, I think it's pretty much the same as comparing this year's LAFC to last year's LAFC. It's a completely different ball game. You could have a lot of the same faces on the roster, but they're just not clicking in the way that I felt like the Union were doing so last year. And granted, I still think they kind of bottled the MLS Cup final a little bit, but with that said, I think Jim Curtin will do what he has to do to make this next one game round very, very competitive and very, very difficult for Cincinnati. But I mean, there's not much to say about this latest, you know, wrap up in 2 games against the Revs. The Revs were kind of on the down. The Union were on the up and up. So it's just like, you know, again, they're not clicking the way they were in the 2022 playoffs, but they're still doing more than enough to, again, comfortably get past a top 4 team in the Revs,
which is important.
Yep.
And then, all right, Columbus Crew and Atlanta. I mean, Columbus just proved as to why everyone has them favored very highly in this playoffs this year. Atlanta United, I think injuries, if they were 100%, I feel like this is a different team. At least that's my viewership of them. But if they were a healthy team, I don't even know if they'd be 6th place. But I think Columbus Crew is just all around just bulletproof as far as a team looks like.
Yeah. Another instance where I'm not sure. I mean, bulletproof I think the game 2 explosion from Atlanta, I think opens up a very interesting conversation in terms of how we look at the Columbus Crew. MLS is a league that heavily favors the home team historically. So that says a lot, right? Columbus will be, if they get another playoff game, will be rocking for that 100%. But like you also mentioned, they are probably the most complete team in MLS. I think what their coach, Wilfred Nancy, is able to offer to that team, that star-studded team in game, also is levels above a lot of what MLS has to offer as far as individual clubs go. So they have a lot going for them. But here's the thing, right? I think they're going to be on the road against the number 2 seed in Orlando. A lot of fans out there, even some that have appeared on our content on GolzTV, have, really referenced Orlando's a better team on the road than they are at home. It's practically the same. There's like a 1-game difference in terms of like a draw versus a loss or something, but the exact same amount of road wins as they have home wins. For whatever reason, the fans are, I think, just kind of sticking to what Orlando has done, maybe more comfortably on the road, and that's fair. But I think the bigger issue here is just that, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm reading too much into the performance Columbus gave against Atlanta, and Atlanta with Thiago Almada, with a Giacomakis that was firing on all cylinders. I think if Columbus has to go on the road up against a team that's in pretty decent form, and was in decent form for a majority of the regular season, right? Orlando being a number 2. There's going to be a lot of fireworks there. I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup. Columbus did comfortably, win that game 3 against Atlanta. But bro, I was sitting at home watching game 2 thinking this could be the craziest upset if Atlanta pulls it off, right? Thiago Almada didn't play game 1. He came in game 2, completely took the game over. They had 4 goals in there against a very complete Columbus Crew team. I don't know if Orlando can shock them the way that Atlanta did kind of in those first 20 minutes, right? Those first 20 minutes were so big for Atlanta United. If Orlando can do that, this whole conversation we're having about Columbus Crew possibly being the most complete team and making that run all the way into MLS Cup final, maybe it's not quite as much of a sure thing as we all think it is. I don't know. I think the game 2 for me sticks out in a really big way.
Yeah. And then Orlando City and Nashville. I mean, Orlando just handled their business. I think they did what they were supposed to as a higher seed.
Do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think that like Orlando, I don't know, do they lose some sort of style points, I guess you could call it, for the fact that it wasn't really like an impressive, and again, this is not my opinion. I think that, for me in the playoff, it doesn't matter how you win. It just matters that you win. I don't care how you do it. There's no such thing as style points. Like if you need to beat a team that's solely centered around one player, like Nashville with Hadi Mukhtar, then it is what it is. You take care of business, you move on, and you get to the next game. But there are a lot of fans, similar to the conversation we had about Cincinnati and the Red Bulls, who are discounting Orlando as the 2 seed because it wasn't the sexiest showing against Nashville. That if it wasn't for a Wilmer Caragena crazy banger and another one-off goal, that it really could have been much closer and a much better opportunity for Nashville to move on. I mean, did you feel like Orlando, based on that matchup, is just not as scary as a 2 seed normally is?
I mean, in the playoffs, it's like in any sport. I think all American sports, when you talk about the playoffs, it doesn't matter how you get the win as long as you get the win. I mean, the probably, if I would say, like, the worst win you could ever have is a win where you lose a crucial player to an injury or to a reckless decision, like having a temper tantrum in the middle of a game and then kicking a ball out to the stands because you thought there was an alleged foul that should have been called, like
Serginho,
or and then attempting to punch a goalkeeper.
Jesus, man, I know that guy. Anyway,
I don't know if anyone got that reference, but
yeah,
but I think that's the only way I would say, like, I don't feel too confident going into the next game, because especially if you're talking about losing a crucial player to any other situation. But I mean, this is why you need teams that can win in different ways possible. You want teams that can win pretty, which is, blowing a team out of the water, just making it not even feel like there's any pressure at all during that game. You need teams that can win ugly games. When you may not like the way we won, but you still got the dub, and that makes you feel somewhat better. And then those just tough it out wins, like the ones that you just had to grind it out and get the win. Like sometimes in the playoffs, that's all you got to be able to do. If you're definitely one of the best teams going into this, you have to be able to win in different ways. Like it's not a clear way to win it. 3 points at the end of the day is still 3 points when it comes to the standings. But the real teams, when you talk about, especially here in the MLS playoffs, it's the teams that can win in different ways. They only win one certain way. And if that's the only way you can win, then your chances of going far in the playoffs isn't going to be well.
I agree wholeheartedly, man. I think it's something that a lot of fans discount, right? Like, oh, the opponent they beat really wasn't that good. Who cares? No one's gonna remember that Nashville was what seed they were, or what their away record versus home record was like, or even the fact that they were solely centered around Hani Mukhtar offensively. I think that they're just gonna remember that they bowed out in round one to a better Orlando team. And I think if the same thing happens, right? They make the next game against the Crew a shit show at home. They get to penalty kicks, and then they just, through some stroke of luck, go through. No one's gonna remember that they beat, that the Crew was supposed to win. The Crew was the better overall team, the more complete team, et cetera, et cetera. They're just gonna remember that they bowed out to a team that knows how to win in a scrappy way. So I'm right there with you, man. I think the result really is the only thing that matters.
Yep. And then continuing on with the results, now we're going to the Western Conference, and the only upset that happened in this round was AFC Sporting Kansas City sweeping first place St. Louis City 2-0. I think St. Louis, once again, it was their first time. When it went, the great phrase that people say when they get mad, which is usually "old man yells at cloud," is "act like you've been there." They literally haven't. So for them, but unfortunately, they didn't get to celebrate because Kansas City came in guns a-blazing, probably for a team going into the wild card, coming in the hottest way possible. Kind of looks kind of dangerous now when you're talking. Sometimes when it comes to playoffs, it's sometimes not even the team that was great all year long, which St. Louis City was good for a good chunk of the season. But Sporting Kansas City comes in hot at the right time, and now they are a team that you cannot be overlooking. And I mean, they did it. They swept the first seed, and it's possible. The Houston Dynamo, they beat Real Salt Lake in probably the most contested matchup in the playoffs. So obviously Dynamo won their first game, and then the next two went to penalties. Diego Luna, that's all I gotta say, man. Watch out for that kid. That kid. I think that was the only thing that I was so happy about having this matchup was because I'm a big Diego Luna fan, and the kid's super talented. I can't wait for what he's going to do. He does piss me off seeing his socks go so fucking low. His shin guards are not on his shins. Like this.
Bro, he has to have him where he's comfortable. But yeah, bro, that kid needs to be going to Europe at some point. I think it would take his game to the next level. It would benefit every U.S. men's national team fan out there. That guy needs to make the move.
It pisses me off how many Texas-based MLS teams overlooked this kid, and now he's over at Salt Lake. What the fuck was the state of Texas doing?
There's so many of those players, bro. We don't have enough time on the show today to kind of go through how many missed opportunities there were.
He's fat and short. Oh, God.
Doesn't matter if you ball. Exactly.
Third place, LAFC beats Vancouver Whitecaps. There was some controversy definitely in one of those games. I already said my thoughts on it. I'm not gonna waste it anymore, but maybe could have gone. I'm not saying that Vancouver would have won, but the refs definitely ruined it for them for any hope that they had in that game.
I feel bad for Vani, man. I really do. The manager. I think it was tough to watch them go through that. The controversy with the refs. The better team did win. Don't make no mistake about it. But to see him lose his shit the way that he did, and rightfully so, bro. Like some of the calls, especially that one call where he absolutely lost it, right? The play itself and the ref blocking a player, it leads to a counterattack, which leads to a goal, and then he was gonna award it anyway. And it was building up to that point. But yeah, man, the manager, apologized. I love the passion he has, to be honest. I saw a lot of people calling him unprofessional. I thought Look, man, he wants to win.
I'd be too.
Yeah,
I'd be too.
Any competitor, right? And that's how I knew some of these people who talk a lot about MLS on Twitter just have never fucking played. They never played, and you don't compete regularly with what you do. Obviously, I think if you're a competitor, you want to win. That's going to upset you. I mean, to a point where you feel like you have to question everything, you have to make a scene about it, and he did. And I'm not mad at him for it. I think it. You referenced the whole Sergiño Dest debacle from last night. That's a completely different type of tantrum, quote unquote, that he's throwing. I think the manager Vanny was completely in the right for how that game against LAFC really went. But with that said,
I mean, especially in that scenario where not saying that Vancouver was going to score off of that corner kick or anything, but
yeah,
like at least from when I played. If the ref gets involved, that's an automatic drop ball. Like that, yeah. It's a dead ball. They start from that area. They don't continue on and then have that bullshit breakaway that happened. And so like, yeah, I'd be living. I'd probably get ejected if I was a player, but I'd also be getting ejected as a coach.
Yeah, same, bro, same. It's hard. It's like I think if anybody who's judging him for how he acted. Look, man, he cared. He wanted to win. I mean, he probably wanted to win more than I don't know how many fans wanted to win. Probably thought his team had more of a chance than the fans thought. And that's you could tell just how passionate he was, bro. I respect it. It is unfortunate how things kind of panned out with that game specifically, but make no mistake, Denny Bouanga was still having a field day even in game one. He's not as lethal right now as he was in the regular season, in my opinion. I think that's probably the case for LAFC as a whole. But the better team won. Like I think we can all agree there.
Yeah, definitely. And then second place Seattle Sounders ends up beating FC Dallas in 3 games. Yeah, that second game I felt like that could have been a momentum shifter for FC Dallas, but Seattle at home, it's a home field advantage for a reason. So
yeah, it was tough, bro. MLS favors the home team a lot. Now, with that said, though, I mean that game too, I was there at the game. It playoff vibes through and through. I loved it. It felt different than the home games I've been to this season. I was really, really excited for Dallas, obviously, kind of coming in. And I was nervous going to game 2, but the minute that we pumped in 3, right, I was like, dude, we better make game 3 a massive game in Seattle. And we kind of did defensively, but offensively, nothing, right? Ferreira was out for the game. And you could tell he's had this groin issue for a few weeks now. He's just been playing through it. But in game 2, he pulled up with like 10 minutes left. And you can kind of tell that, like, dude, if he comes back for game 3, it'd be awesome. I just don't see it happening. And he didn't, right? So losing our 2 best, in my opinion, offensive players in Velasco and Ferreira for a game 3 against the only other team that's as good defensively in the West as FC Dallas has been this year, it just didn't bode well for us. And it was a 1-0. It was kind of a boring game. I'll be honest, like it just kind of was. There were a lot of chances for Seattle. There were some for Dallas. Our best chance came right before the 90th minute. Did nothing with it, really. I mean, it was a close shot, but again, I just think Seattle was the better team across 3 legs. Maybe it could have been different had it been flipped, right? And that's something that MLS I think needs to think about. Maybe in these best of 3s and why they don't work is that the home team is just so favored in this league. If it was flipped, maybe Dallas would have gone through, right? That's how one-sided home team advantages really are in this league. I have no idea, but for that reason, it should have just been 2 legs, and you break it down to aggregate. If you had broken down to aggregate score, it would have gone into extra time if away goals weren't a factor. If away goals are not a factor like that, they aren't in Europe right now, that would have gone to maybe straight PKs or an extra time period and then a penalty kick shootout. So something to think about when we think about this new format.
Yeah, exactly. But all right, the conference semifinals, we do know who's facing off against each other. And in the Eastern Conference, we got the first seed, FC Cincinnati, going up against a team that wasn't able to win the MLS Cup last season in 4th place, Philadelphia Union. What are the key things for this matchup?
The key things, I'll give like one from each side. Yeah. One for Cincinnati, stay the course and let Lucho be Lucho. I think that stay the course because it's easy for, I think, teams that are newer to a playoff format or playoffs in general, right? The inexperience of not being in playoffs that much. will take over and settle in, and in a bad way if you read too much into how the Red Bulls game too went, right? If you think about that too much, you may start to question your tactics, your ability, even your leadership, both on the pitch in Lucho and off the pitch in Noonan. So I think don't question anything, stay the course, and find more opportunities for Lucho to get on the ball. That's really it. I think continue to be who you are, which is a fortress and a force at home. That's what Cincinnati's been all season. I think for the other side, for the Union, man, it's hard to put my finger on one. I think for me, it is continue to be as good defensively as they've been for the majority of the regular season, right? If they can prevent Cincinnati from scoring the first goal on their pitch, this one-game playoff becomes very, very interesting. But I think whoever gets scored on first is in real trouble. I just think so. I think if it's Cincinnati getting scored on first, they have the offensive power to get back into the game, but the Union have been pretty damn good defensively for the most part this season, and vice versa. If Union gets scored on first, climbing that hill, right, against the crowd at the TQL Stadium, against the arguably MVP of the season, and that stout defense, even without potentially Matt Miazga, it's going to be very, very difficult. And so Cincinnati are not the Revs, and equally the Union are not the Red Bulls. There's a lot at stake here, and I think that I'm hoping that it's going to be more of an offensive, showcase from both sides. But if I'm being realistic, I actually think it's going to be one of the bigger defensive matchups that we have coming up in the conference semifinals.
Yeah, for me, I think for Philadelphia Union, you're the more experienced team. You got to use that for your advantage. You have a manager who I respect in Curtin. Honestly, there was a point where I did want him to be the U.S. men's national team. At this point, anybody over Greg Berhalter. But I take Plank from Etta and Eddie at this point. No one's going to get that joke unless you're from the 90s. I was reaching for that like Messi for Uruguayan.
Seriously, bro. Luis Suarez, we're waiting.
FC Cincinnati, man. I think their big key is next man up, man. Who's stepping in for Matt Miazga? Whatever is this? I don't know if he's been officially suspended or not.
I don't think it's been handed down yet. I think I don't know what they're waiting for, but if anything, and maybe who knows, maybe they enact it for next season. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that he could be out this next game if they figure it out in the next few days. But if not, he could be a force. Yeah.
So I mean, if that's the case, I think it's the next man up thing when it comes to the defense, especially because Matt Miazga, that's a big loss. But I mean, for this one, I'm sticking with MC Cincinnati. I think that they're still capable of it. This is definitely, I think, one of their biggest tests going into this playoff run. If everyone's hoping they're going to do what everyone's hoping is going to happen. But this is going to be their first big task, is try to overcome an experienced team like Philadelphia.
I agree.
You're also taking FC Cincinnati?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My pick, by far, Cincinnati. I say by far loosely there, too. I don't want to make it seem like, Union doesn't have a chance in this thing. They very, very much do. But I think that you mentioned, Jim Curtin taking over as, U.S. men's national team coach potentially. I kind of had that idea too, believe it or not, Hector. I think when I thought about that, though, I thought about things like MLS Cup. In my opinion, Gareth Bale may have taken over that final, but I think the Union were the more complete team last season and should have and kind of deserved to be the team that hoists the cup at the end of it, but they didn't. And there's this idea, I think, that Jim Curtin is a bottler. I don't know if that's the case per se, but I could see them somehow getting the tactics wrong for this match. I don't know why. And again, I've said it on multiple shows. I think until the Supporters Shield winner and the number 1 seed in the East gives me a reason not to believe in them, I'm going to continue to believe in them. I think they're number 1 for a reason. So they may not win MLS Cup, but I have them getting past Philly in this one.
Okay. All right. The other matchup is second place Orlando City SC taking on third place Columbus Crew. I think the keys for me on this one is Columbus Crew is keep that attack silent for Orlando. I think this is going to be a big one for them defensively, to keep that attack for Orlando City. And I think for Orlando City is they got to do what they do best. Make it their game. Don't let Columbus play their style of game. Because if you do that, Columbus will win this matchup. And because of that, that's why I'm going with Columbus Crew to win against Orlando City.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think specifically that last point around not letting them get into a rhythm. I think if you had to go back, if I'm Oscar Pareja and I'm showing the team game film in terms of what I want to see against the Crew, I would show them the Leagues Cup match against Inter Miami. That's what I would show them. And they lost that match. And, it's fine. It is what it is because it's, it was brand new Messi, mania. But in that match, they made Inter Miami work for every blade of grass possible on the pitch. It was a shit show. Like it was physical. It was the first time I had seen it's when I saw Messi actually like give a shit about Major League Soccer. He was fiery. He was getting feisty with some of the Orlando players. He was caring about this in a way that I knew it was just the inner competitor coming out. I think Orlando needs to do that with this Crew team. Force them to work for every part of the pitch they're trying to get into, and ultimately just not be the first one to let up a goal. I think if the Crew gets going, and especially if Nancy is he's so dynamic as a manager, if he starts figuring out how Orlando is set up, I think they're going to get picked apart. I think if I'm Pareja, man, just have them make this a dogfight. Be fluid with your tactics. Continue to be open to changing things on the fly, and then I think if they do all those three things in a really good way, they have a shot to win this thing. I picked Orlando in my bracket or to go through because they're the home team and because I think they can make this a dogfight. It's really, really hard to pick against the Crew. I think if this was in Ohio, the Crew wins this, not easily, but in a pretty straightforward way. But look, man, I'll be the hot take person. I think across most MLS fans, I have the Crew bowing out a little bit earlier than most people thought. I think that Orlando City find a way to get this done, even if it is in a PK shootout.
I don't disagree with you. I think if there's a team that can take out Columbus Crew, it is Orlando City.
Yeah.
Because if not, I can see Columbus Crew just making it straight through to the MLS Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, but once again, it's always that point where just because you're the most complete team or the best team doesn't always mean you're going to win the championship.
Facts, big facts.
But I think if Columbus Crew can get past Orlando, it's definitely a clear road for them to get to the MLS Cup. Still tough road, but still a lot clearer path for them.
Yeah, if you think about it, this game will actually end up being more of a test for them than if, let's say they get past, Orlando and Cincy wins and they meet each other in the conference final, right? I think that, the Ohio-based matchup between them two actually favors the Crew. I think that's going to be, even if they have to go to TQL, I think it's going to be, it's going to feel like it's a home game for them. And that's where Columbus Crew are very lethal, very scary. They have probably the most lethal finisher in the league, in my opinion, in Cucho. And so I think, if he is firing on all cylinders against Orlando, it's going to be very difficult, which is why from the very beginning, man, you got to make him uncomfortable. You got to, if you're the defense, right, pull on him, tug on him. Every time he moves the ball to someone else, give him that little nudge, that shove, whatever it may be, throw him off his rhythm. And if that happens, I think Orlando have a shot at winning this game. And so I'm going to stick with the home team.
Yeah, I got you. I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all of the Eastern Conference teams have home field advantage for the MLS Cup final.
They do. They do.
Yeah, so big yikes on that one. So as we go and transition to the Western Conference, we'll start things off with fourth place Houston Dynamo going up against the 8th seed Sporting Kansas City. A lot of history between these two teams. This is one of those rivalries. People don't know that, but that is a rivalry between the Dynamo and Sporting Kansas City. We were both in the Eastern Conference together, and then we both moved right back to the Western Conference together. So there's a lot of history, a lot of big playoff matches have been played against these two teams. Kansas City, the hot team right now. Houston Dynamo. I'm not trying to be biased by all means, but I did say a team that can win in all different ways, and the Dynamo has pretty much done that, has been able to win in all different ways with no one knowing who the hell is scoring the goals. So, I mean, shoot, we got right back scoring goals for us.
Yeah,
so
I agree, man. I agree wholeheartedly.
So, obviously, everyone knows I'm rooting for the Houston Dynamo, and I'm picking the Houston Dynamo, but you're the unbiased person here, so go ahead and go off.
As a Dallas fan, I wouldn't say I'm completely unbiased, but I will say this. I think people will read too much into the 2 shootouts and 3 against Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake's a good fucking team. Nobody can discount them. I think Salt Lake, had they not played Houston, probably actually would have found a way to get through against almost any other team in the West. Like, I really believe that. They would have made it just as much of a game against anybody else. But here's the thing. I think I do have Houston going through. I'll give you my pick now. I have Houston going through, but dude, it is going to be a shootout. I think the only other team that has as many options going forward to create goal scoring opportunities as the Dynamo are Sporting Kansas City. Johnny Russell, Daniel Shalhoub, Alan Pulido. Like, they have so much work, working in their favor offensively. But, with that said, they do let in goals. I know St. Louis didn't pump any in, but, we've seen that over the last quarter, let's say 25% of the season. They'll have some big scoring games, but equally they'll let in a goal here, 2 goals here, whatever it may be. So there's going to be opportunities for Houston to score. I think this being in Houston, bodes very, very well for Dynamo fans. But be careful, right? I think the momentum you get from upsetting a number 1 can be lethal, but equally on the other side of that coin, bro, Houston is playing with house money right now. At the end of the day, after the first 2 months of the season, who had them even getting close to this point? Nobody. And I think even Peter Vermees, the manager, will tell you that himself. He probably thought he was going to get fired at some point. And maybe not. Who knows? He's been here forever. But with that said, right, as much experience as they have, I think Sporting Kansas City feel like they're playing with house money, but equally they could also feel like they've already won MLS Cup by beating their biggest rivals, right? Their cross-state rivals in St. Louis City SC, upsetting the number 1 team. Maybe they get a little bit complacent heading into this 1-game playoff where anything could happen. And on the road, right? If Houston scores first, are Sporting Kansas City going to be motivated enough to really make this a game? I don't know. A lot of high scoring potential in this one. I expect this out of all matchups, right? East and West combined. I expect this one to be the highest scoring. I have Houston going through, but it could be like a 3-2 or something. I don't know. We'll definitely see.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be big, especially on Shinchenko and that back line for them to stay structured enough. Because I love Steve Clark, but the dude's a fucking wild card. Sometimes,
yeah, but he's looked decent. Like, even against Salt Lake,
he's been phenomenal this season. It's crazy to think that he wasn't even put up for goalkeeper of the year. For some odd reason, I'm not saying he should have won, but it's weird that he wasn't even mentioned.
I think it was maybe, again, it's kind of like Sporting Kansas City, a little bit at the start of the year for Houston because the road record was so bad, you're letting up so many goals, and then offensively, Houston wasn't scoring at the rate they're scoring now. Like, It was a lot of PKs that were kind of leading the way, but the whole team has just gotten progressively better. So while Steve Clark isn't nominated for that award, I still think he looked really good against Salt Lake. I expect him to look good against Kansas City, and Houston's going to need him to look good because, like I said before, they have a ton of options offensively.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the final playoff game in the conference semifinals is second place Seattle Sounders. Now the highest seed team in the Western Conference. Doesn't change anything. They're all going to be on the road. Yeah. they're all going to be playing on the road and come MLS Cup. But second place Seattle Sounders taking on third place LAFC. I think this is probably going to be the most closest matchup of all of them. This is going to be this will be the dogfight in my opinion. Seattle, I know there's some very skeptic Seattle Sounders fans that don't know how the hell they got here. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how the hell y'all got here. And then there's LAFC, the team that won the MLS Cup the last season. Not that same team from last year, which I wouldn't say they were great by any means, but kind of that team that can win in multiple facets as well, which has been kind of the thing I keep saying about when it comes to playoffs. And they came up big, got a clutch goal from Gareth Bale, the highlight, legitimately the only highlight of his time from LAFC, and that's why they won the MLS Cup. But yeah, Seattle Sounders and LAFC. I think the key is pretty simple for LAFC is make sure Denny Bouanga can somehow eat. If he's eating, they're winning. Seattle, this is where I'm kind of like, it's kind of tricky for me, but it's probably, it kind of goes in hand with LAFC's key, which is keep Denny Bonga away from goal. Like, just keep him away from it. So I mean, both of them are in line with each other, which is one, Denny Bonga's got to eat, and the other one is don't let Denny Bonga eat.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think with this game, a lot of people, look, it will be close. I do think at the end of the day, it will be close for a number of reasons, and I don't want to go into all those today, but I still feel like this game, as much as it can be close, it could also be a game where Seattle walks out of there 2 or 3-1, right? I think, and the reason I say that is because, one, they're the best. I'm pretty sure they're the best defensive team in the West coming into playoffs. The only other team defensively that was just as good was FC Dallas. Now, equally, with that said, the offense for Seattle's not that great. They struggle to score goals, but what they've been fantastic at, and again, this is coming up against the only other team who was just as good as defensively as they were, is creating the goal scoring opportunities. I think right now the only thing they're missing is the finish, right? And at some point you have to imagine that with the home crowd behind them, and as someone who's lived in that Seattle market, that crowd is everything for them. And it's massive, right? It's such a huge boost. I think that at some point they're going to find a way to make the offense click, whether it's through Jordan Morris, Raul Ruiz-Diaz, whoever it may be. They're going to find a way to get that precious goal that will allow them to build momentum offensively. Because keep in mind, right, I think across the two home games they had in round one against FC Dallas, they averaged, I think, 17 or 18 shots a game. Averaged, right? So that's a lot of offense they're creating. And they looked more explosive with the utilization of their outside backs than I've seen all season. Nuhu was on a tear in that series against Dallas. He didn't have any crazy assists or anything along those lines, but it's just the runs forward. It's just the threat that they pose on the counter when teams that are going up against them offer them when they push their numbers forward. I think the LAFC are going to try their hardest to give Bouanga the ball as much as possible. He's going to lead every attack. He's going to take, I don't know how many shots, probably more than a few from distance as well in this game. If he doesn't eat, like you said, I think Seattle has enough defensively to keep him at bay while creating that same amount of opportunities going forward. And then from there, it's just probability. What's the likelihood that Seattle's going to get a goal in these 15, 16, 17 shots they're going to create potentially? I don't know. I think it could be very close, but equally it could go just hard the way of Seattle. I'm gonna side with the Sounders. I think what I saw from them in playoffs looks like what we typically see from Seattle in playoffs. And even though LAFC are the defending champions, I think they have yet to beat the Sounders in playoffs. And I think that Seattle at home is just a different beast. This is Nico Lodero's last dance, his final run with the Sounders. He has yet to start a playoff game with them. But I think that this is going to be when it all changes. I think they're going to bench Chu. They're going to find a way to put in Nico Lodero as a starter. And I think the whole game flows through him offensively as well. So I'm going to pick Seattle. I think LAFC should be relatively impressed, or not impressed, but I think relatively okay and comfortable with how this season has gone, so far for the most part. It wasn't 2022. But I think that, the Sounders will have them bow out at this point, and it'll feel kind of like what every other exit from a cup competition has felt like for LAFC so far.
Yeah, I'm also going with Seattle. I think that their defense is going to be fine. They're going to be able to keep Denny Bonga. I think this is where LAFC, maybe what they've been usually rolling with, isn't going to work out for them. Yeah, and that's with their backline. And you're right, the creativity of what Seattle has. The finishing is going to be the question, but I mean, if you're able to keep Denny Bonga quiet as long as you can, someone's going to come up. And like you said, Seattle, one of the hardest places to play, and especially in a playoff setting. So I agree 100%. So I'm going with Seattle as well. But yeah, guys, MLS Cup Conference Semifinals. It is going to be this weekend. Make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be exciting. We're almost there at the MLS Cup. And it's going to be really exciting, man, to see who ends up lifting it. Hopefully it's going to be a new champion, or maybe a champion that hasn't seen one lifted a trophy in like 3, looking for the third trophy. Who knows, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely see about that. But all right. Thank you, Jose, for your time, man. Obviously, this is your time to go ahead and shamelessly plug yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, first off, if you guys haven't tuned in to either Wake Up MLS if you're an MLS fan or Yanks of the Round Table if you're a Premier League fan, guys, go check them out. They're on GolzTV. That's GOLZ.TV. That is some of our in-house first-party content. It features guys like Hector, other creators that are on GolzTV as well. A lot of fans around the world feel like Americans don't know ball. We're proving them wrong every day for the most part. There's a shit take every now and then, but for the most part with those two shows, and we have plenty more in the works. But outside of that, man, I really can't thank Hector enough for having me on the show. I mentioned in my last appearance here that I love talking ball. I love talking MLS. I love just having these conversations, man. So anytime you want me back, I am yours. I appreciate it. And guys, for all the MLS fans who maybe are just a little bit bored through this international break, like, get excited, get ready. This Saturday, the playoffs are coming back. I'm super pumped for it. Everybody should. I'm hoping we don't see, a decline in viewership or anything else. We need to be supporting these games as much as we possibly can, because as soon as we hit, end of the year, the games are gone forever. So, well, at least for the next few months, right? So, let's definitely, be excited about it. Tune in. It's going to be awesome. A shit show in the best way possible. And if you haven't already, follow InsertName FC. Go support the show. I definitely do whenever I can.
All right, man. So thank you so much for your time. And we're going to go ahead and segue right into Players of the Week. So go ahead, enjoy what the hell me and Edward are talking about there. And we're back. Thank you again so much for Jose Tellez to step in and talk some MLS with us. It's always great to have him there. Make sure you guys check out Golz.tv for the Hulu of American soccer content. Just be on the lookout, man. It's a great content over there. And it is free right now to subscribe. So take advantage right now before it gets big. And remember, if you guys want news and highlights of the USL Championship, League One, League Two, you can find it all on GolzTV. All right. So Players of the Week. Players of the Week is brought to you by In the Clutch. In the Clutch is an amazing apparel company brought to you, all partnered up with the Players Associations of Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, National Football League, and so much other great designs. These designs are amazing. As a matter of fact, I got my Kyle Tucker shirt on right now. It is one of my favorite shirts. The material is amazing. The design is incredible. If you guys don't know, it says, if nobody got me, Kyle Tucker does. Which he always does. Please stay with the Houston Astros. He's still going to stay with the Astros. He just, people want him to sign an extension, as also I do. But these shirts are amazing. The feel is incredible. And quoted by Kelsey Coyne of High Low Sports, it has passed the Fat Boy test. What is the Fat Boy test? You put your arms up when you're trying to reach something top shelf, and if your stomach isn't hanging out, then it has passed the Fat Boy test. But yeah, and then obviously the best part, it does go straight to the players that are being featured on these shirts designs. So if you guys love all that and you guys want a little bit more of a reason to go and shop over there at intheclutch.com, if you guys use the code InsertName at checkout, you'll save yourself 10% off your entire purchase. So thank you again. Intheclutch.com, use the code InsertName and save yourself 10% off your entire purchase. Edward, who's your player of the week?
All right, so my player of the week is, and we referenced him already, is Darwin Nunez from the Uruguay-Argentina game. He actually scored a goal in the 2-0 against Argentina, and that was actually the goal that went between Martinez's legs. So, yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, I could have played, somebody else, but I felt that Darwin Nunez kind of deserved it. He's been finding his game, so why not? He's one of my favorite strikers right now, young buck. So he's got it.
Okay.
But Hector, who's your player of the week?
My player of the week is Trezeguet, who scored 2 goals in Egypt's 2-0 victory against Sierra Leone. Also, nice. Africa going through their World Cup qualifiers as well.
Nice. That's a good one.
So congratulations to Darwin Nunez and Trezeguet for being our players of the week. Once again, go to intheclutch.com, use the code InsertName, save yourself 10% off your purchase. We do have some games this coming weekend. Not mentioning the leagues that we normally talk about on this podcast, we do have the U17 World Cup quarterfinals. So if you guys want to see the future of the international game at the U17 level. Games are pretty early. I will tell you that. It's like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. because they are playing in Indonesia, I believe. But if you guys have some time to watch the future of the game, go ahead and check them out. You're always going to find the next upcoming star over there in the U17 World Cup. FC Twente versus PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands. If you guys want a reason why, not besides Chucky Lozano, Ricardo Pepi, Malik Tillman, and Sergino Dest to watch these games, well, PSV is currently undefeated, not only hasn't lost a game, but also hasn't drawn. They are on a winning streak since starting this season. So do they continue that streak going, or does Twente, a team that is also doing pretty well in the Netherlands, have something to say with the best team right now in the Eredivisie? MLS, of course, conference semifinals, man. If you guys want to know who is going to be in the final four of the MLS Cup playoffs, well, this weekend is a big one. It took us 21 days to finally get to here, but here we are. So make sure you guys watch that. Liga MX. If you guys weren't able to catch last week's episode, Liga MX playoffs. It is the play-in round. So if you guys don't know, on Thursday, so if you guys listen to this episode, it was on Thursday, so day before. The 7 and 8 seed played against each other in a game to see who plays the second seed in the quarterfinals. And the 9th and 10th seed played against each other to see who would play against the loser of the 7 and 8 seed matchup. Winner of that game is going to be this weekend. We'll play in that game to see who faces off against the first seed, which is Club America. I know I probably confused the hell out of everybody with that, but that is the new Liga MX format. So we'll find out who's playing against Club America this weekend in Liga MX.
Yep.
Edward's just dumbfounded that that's the new playoff format for Liga MX.
Yeah, I basically went into the whole Zach Galifianakis thing, like that meme when you're trying to do math in your head and you have that face.
You're talking about the Hangover meme when he's counting cards?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what my thing is going on for.
All right, yeah. So we'll see who has to play Monterrey and who has to play Club America in the quarterfinals of Liga MX. In League we got PSG taking on Monaco. Remember those guys? And Lyon, who is still terrible, taking on Lille. Obviously, guys, I'm still debating on the jersey bet. I'm not gonna make it official right
now. He's really thinking about it. He's like,
In the Bundesliga, we got Borussia Dortmund taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach. The battle of the Borussias. I don't know if that means anything.
The BBs.
Whoa.
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 You took it the wrong way there, Hector.
VfL Wolfsburg taking on RB Leipzig, also going on in the Bundesliga. In the Serie A, we got 3 big matches happening this weekend. Atalanta taking on Napoli, AC Milan versus Fiorentina, and Juventus taking on Inter Milan. Some big matchups that are going to be very big on the race for the Serie A.
Damn, yeah, those are big ones.
In La Liga, we got Real Sociedad taking on Sevilla, who is also terrible. And Real Betis taking on Las Palmas.
Okay.
Also debating on Sevilla. That's the other jersey bet I'm debating on. And in the Premier League, we have a heavyweight matchup. Manchester City taking on Liverpool. And Tottenham versus Aston Villa.
So, can I ask you who you think is going to win on Manchester City versus Liverpool?
Liverpool.
Really?
I'm going to go with Liverpool.
Wow. Okay.
Man City has not looked like the Man City from before. And this
from
Liverpool
Champions
team,
League?
And this Liverpool looks nice.
They look polished.
They look so much better.
Yeah, to be honest, Man City does look good. It's just I think
Not
everybody's already
not
caught
what
up.
we usually expect from them is what I'm saying.
Now we're not exactly, but
This
I
is not
think
this is not the same Manchester City from last year.
I think what it is everybody caught up already. They've got polished. They got the players that they needed,
So
and then they just.
So when we
Manchester United, I don't know what the hell they got so polished that they probably fell off the table. Shit,
bro, I seriously still can't believe how they let Cole Palmer go to Chelsea. I did not get that.
No,
And this isn't me saying like, oh my god, that Cole Palmer is like the world's greatest. But I'm not saying that. But it was like weird how that kid, every time I watched him play, scored a banger of a goal when he was with Manchester City. And so they let him go to Chelsea, I believe on loan. I don't think it's a transfer. I could be wrong on that, but obviously he scores the penalty to tie it up, and then does like the shrug, like kind of being taking jack. Maybe he did get transferred. I mean, if you're gonna be that petty, but like, yeah, Cole Palmer, bro. Like, I think that kid's gonna be so good. Him and Nico Lewis. Nico Lewis is also gonna be really good. I can't wait to see how that kid develops. But anyways, yeah, heavyweight matchup, Manchester City versus Liverpool. That's gonna be a very, very juicy matchup this weekend. But yeah, man. So not all the game. There's a ton of soccer that you could be watching. But if you guys need a beginner's guide, if you will, well, here you go. Some pretty key matches that you could probably enjoy watching this weekend. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we'll go right into our Reddit reading, and the topic is Ask Men. So get ready for that. Hey guys, this is Hector from the InsertName FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. All right, guys. So we're doing another Reddit reading. We actually enjoyed the "Am I the Asshole" topic, but we're gonna switch it up with a new section of Reddit, and that is Ask Men. So this is where women, or maybe some future young men, that are trying to get the answers from men that have figured it out, or somewhat figured it out, if you're being Edward. Questions and that they're just so curious about, and they want the answers. So we'll see if me and Edward are literally man enough to answer these questions. So this should be fun. Should be fun.
Right.
But all right, Edward, this is the first. So I got 5 questions that I found that I thought were awesome to go ahead and answer. None of them are inappropriate, depending on how you feel. Maybe some of these might feel inappropriate, but they're also gonna be really funny. Mixture of funny, serious, whatever. But anyways, all right. Question number 1, Edward, get ready.
All right.
Do you use that opening in your boxers / briefs to pee? Or do you just pull down the top of your boxers and briefs? That little opening just doesn't seem that useful. Thank you in advance.
Huh.
The opening on. Oh wait. First off, are you a boxers or briefs guy?
I'm a boxer briefs guy.
Okay, I'm also that.
So I do, like, personally, I do the pulling over or pulling the shorts down.
Yeah, I've never actually like stuck.
Never used the hole.
I never used that. I really don't understand the purpose of it, honestly. Also, yeah, I've never seen the benefit of that weird little opening thing. I don't know if that's what it was meant to be for. I don't know if it's meant for you to like just take your pee out on it, but it's not comfortable. At least it doesn't look comfortable. So I just pull it down and then just pee. So pretty easy question. It is something that now I'm now interested in. What's the point of that opening?
Right.
Might have to do some research on that one. So, question number 2. Honestly, How thoroughly do you wipe your butt? What about cleaning it in the shower? Ooh.
Whoa, that's getting a little bit. I'm not trying to, no pun intended. A little bit too deep. You know what I'm talking about?
All right. So here is my process of wiping my ass. I get a wet wipe. I freaking love wet wipes. Judge
the
me.
baby wipes. Yeah,
I love baby wipes. It is amazing. But yeah, so I first use a baby wipe, and then I use regular toilet paper to just to dry myself off, but also get anything that's left over. But I will say there is a struggle, especially depending on what you've eaten that day. That it might take a few wipes.
Oh, Jesus.
I will say I usually keep going till there's nothing left, if that makes any sense.
That boy basically burns the earth.
Well, I mean, not that, but basically I do. I just do like some check wipes to see if like anything's still there, and if there's still something there, then I just keep obviously I keep going till it stops. But yeah, so that's basically my process. I don't know, Edward, what's your process?
About the same, to be honest with you.
You're over here judging me, and it's the same thing that I do.
Well, I mean, no, I use
Okay,
I use the wet wipes, but I actually use the scented ones because I don't be smelling. I don't be smelling like ass and shit.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know about that. But the follow-up question: have you ever thought about cleaning it in the shower?
I do.
What do you mean?
I've got to clean it in the shower. No, are you talking about like once you take a shit, just jump in there like a little kid?
I think that's what the follow-up question is. I will say if I have, and this did happen a few times for me when I was in the Marine Corps, and I forgot to put toilet paper. Yeah, then I'll just like quickly hop in the shower. But luckily that doesn't happen as often as you think. But yeah, so like that's like a if all else fails. I've heard some people that are willing to sacrifice clothing to because there's no toilet paper.
The underwear, the one you're trying not to stain, you just go ahead and use, and then you just go commando after that.
Yeah, just go commando. I've heard some people that do that. Once again, these are all like if all else fails, but those are also if you're in like a public place. It's a little different when you're in your own home. But yeah, I've been in a few situations where I didn't actually restock on toilet paper. So I just took a shower, and that was only like 2 days that I did that, and then eventually I finally had time to go to the store and go buy some toilet paper. But yeah, shower is an option. It's just if all else fails kind of option. Like if you really just have nothing on you. I do know some people that did use like clothing. So let that sink in for a bit. But yeah. All right, question 3. Do you ever worry about what your friends think of the attractiveness of your girlfriend/wife? Like, are you ever worried that people you don't find her good looking or judge you for being with her? Also, this person wanted to add, this question is obviously coming straight from my insecurities. LOL. Do you worry about your friend? Let's go question by question here. Do you ever worry about what your friends think of the attractiveness of your girlfriend/wife? No.
Not really. It's like it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm the one.
Wait. No, say it.
You go ahead.
Okay. If I'm inviting you to my friends, and I'm not like, it's not like we're talking. Edward, you can tell me if I'm wrong for this, but I do think that guy friends are a little bit different than what women have in friends, because when you're your bros, you're your boys. Like it's not. It's not as
100%.
And there's codes within the boys. Like if you have that one friend that's slimy that does that, there's a big chance either he's not your boy, or he has a line, which is usually his friends' boys, his boys' girls. Yeah. So, but when you bring a girl to your boys, like it's not they don't really care about all that. They just hope that you guys mesh well with your boys, because these are the people that they're going to be seeing more, like of a recurrence. So like, so you hope that they gel well, but usually and I'll be honest with you, like, and Edward can even tell you, like, I have never been nervous about letting Edward's met some of the girls I've dated. I never felt worried that Edward was gonna think they were ugly, and most of the time Edward's like to him, it's not that they're not attractive. He just doesn't look at them that way because he's like, that's my boy's girl.
Yeah. So yeah, with me. So what it is with me.
And it's the same way with me. Like, if Edward introduces me to a girl, it's not like, oh man, she's hot. I'm like, no, that's my boy's. That's my boy's girl. My best friend's
So
girl.
yeah, pretty much like it's so weird. Like he goes out with a girl, and for example, he went out with a girl, and then I told him something about her, and I was like, bro, I was like, he was like, oh yeah, this is my girl, and I was like, all right, cool, like whatever. Like I didn't find her attractive. But I didn't find her unattractive, and I didn't find it was weird. Like I just didn't
Wait,
see
is this
her
Evelyn?
as no the one before
Oh,
her.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I said I still remember. I said, dude, the first thing I noticed for her, I was like, dude, she's got tiny ass legs, like they're skinny. And he was like, what? He's like, so everybody else noticed something else, and I was like, bro, I was like, no, and I was like, I noticed something else. I was like, the ankles. Remember I told you?
Yeah, I remember that, but it was just kind of
Yeah,
funny because like she's got tiny legs. I was like, well, I'm not very tall, so I kind of.
yeah. So he was like, so it works out for me, and I was like, all right, I guess. Fuck it,
we all can't be 5'9", Edward. I
hey
remember
man,
that.
yeah.
But
So that's what I'm saying. Like the thing is, like, it's not about picking and choosing what you see. It's like depends on how you feel about your bro. Like like you either find that person attractive or not, and then it was like that's it. Like that's it,
yeah,
straight
I
up. And
think
then
there's also a level of respect, when it comes to your boys. Like,
yeah,
once again, it all goes back to like beauty is on the eyes of the beholder. What you find attractive isn't necessarily attractive to me. So
yeah,
like that always goes back to it. So like if it doesn't matter if the person's attractive or not. Like, all that matters is that they love the person that they're with, and
yeah,
and that person being my bro. So I can care. Like, I can care. Now the personality, that's a whole different level of, because we've all, especially with my group of friends, we've met some guys are different. Like me, like I'm not gonna let my boys meet just anybody. And they're like the same way I view my family. Like, I'm not gonna let my family meet just anyone. So same thing I'm gonna do with my bros. And but there is some guys that this is the person I'm with, so I want y'all to meet them, and that's cool with me too. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna bug me. But I have met some people with some of the people that they dated that had some pretty bad personalities that I don't personally like, and unfortunately some of them are still with them. But once again, that's my bro. That's who they want to be with, and that's all that really matters to me, and that's all I'm gonna throw from there.
yeah. I mean, it's just like just how you said it, man. It's like it just depends. As long as she's making my bro happy, as long as he finds her attractive, it's exactly what he wants. That's it.
Yeah, and so attractive isn't necessarily the issue. It's more so like, are they just cool? Like, are they nice? Are they fun? Like, I mean, that's what really matters. But like, yeah, there's some people. It's one of those things that like, but you're not gonna like, one, you're gonna be respectful to your friend, so you're not gonna, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm also not gonna like, obviously I'm gonna consider their feelings, but like,
Yeah,
but yeah, same thing. We're not judging who the person brings to us. We're just like, okay, clearly this is someone that our bro wants us to meet, and we're gonna be respectful and get to know them. Whether or not they want to talk or not, that's a whole other issue. But you're gonna at least put in the effort to get to know this person.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and that kind of sums up the second question, because it's like same thing. It's basically repeating the first question. But
Yeah.
Hopefully you're able to overcome those insecurities. All right. Do guys really appreciate a woman that makes the move, whether you are newly dating or married for years? I want him to feel wanted by me, and I want to convey that. Or do guys feel it could be threatening to them a little bit? I know it sounds weird and maybe old school, but I always wondered what the answer is. All right, coming from a guy that's just very like oblivious, because I mean, you know, I'm really bad at telling if people like me or not. I am so, and also I'm really bad at telling if I'm flirting or not. And Edward can vouch for that. um, but yeah, if so, like honestly, if you guys are very upfront, I might respect that more because like I the reason why I don't try to like I still ask people out, but the reason why I don't really tend to ask people much is because like I'm not sure if they just think I'm just funny or think I'm a nice guy or they just think of me as a friend. So I just usually don't go for it. But if women were more upfront, if there was a woman that just like genuinely liked me and wanted to go out with me, I wouldn't say no, So, well, I feel like I call myself a whore, but I appreciate it. I actually appreciate them being upfront, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And this whole like, this isn't like, oh, it's the men's job to ask them out or anything like that. It's just, if you find me attractive and you want to tell me, like, I mean, that I appreciate you telling me, so that's all that really matters. But yeah, I think there's some guys out there that wouldn't mind being asked out. And if that is really a big issue, then that's probably not somebody you want to be with anyways. If it bugs them that you asked them out first. So if that should be a sign right there. I just kind of go with it is what I am. But Edward, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you like 100%. So I mean, you basically said it all there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to say because it's like you already said it perfect.
All right.
I wouldn't take it back.
All right. This one has 2 edits along with the question. So there was updates on this one. All right. Did your friends actually invite me, or are you just being nice to not make me feel left out?
Okay, wait, what?
Did your friends actually invite me, or are you just being nice to not make me feel left out? All right, so basically, this is like if you're going out with going out with some friends. Now, there's 2 differences versus a bro out and just going out with friends. When you're out with the bros, it's just you're going out with the bros. Whether it's just hanging out, just hanging out at a bar or going to play pool or like just if it's just with the boys, that's literally what it is. Sometimes just being in front of a fire pit. Like we're very simple. We're not doing these like into deep discussions of life or anything like that.
Most of the time we're just fucking
talking memes,
talking random shit.
Yeah, literally.
Pretty much.
So, but if we're just going out for an outing, like if we're gonna go to a bar, and it's like it's not a bro out, so if you want to bring your girl, it's great. That's probably that's literally probably the invite. Like, yeah, bring your girl too. It's fine.
Yeah.
So,
and then because the thing is, okay, let's put it this way, and I'll put it this way in as gentle as I can. All right. It's if we're going out with the bros, and if they say you can bring your girl if you want, secretly, the guy just wants to have a bro night. Not even gonna lie. But you'll make the conversation and you'll say, they said you could come if you like. But it's like you also have to understand to read between the lines because you're a guy, if you're going out with the girls and you're gonna go have your girls' night or whatever, you wouldn't be telling the guy, hey, you can come if you want, So it's like you have to know who's gonna be there. Most of the time a lot of girls ask, so who's gonna be there? If you tell them, hey, so and so wants to go, or I got invited to go out, and be like, so who's gonna be there? Usually it's either 2 things. It's 1, the insecurities kick in, or 2, she genuinely wants to know.
To be fair, though, also you don't want to be the only girl at the bros night.
That's where I'm getting my conversation. If she asks who's gonna go, she's asking because she genuinely wants to know what are the insecurities, and if she genuinely wants to know if she sees that it's gonna be the bros, like literally the bros, the ones that you basically act a fool around, she's gonna be like, no, you know what, have fun, go and have fun. But if it's like people that she knows on her side as well, a circle of friends, or it's like, kind of couple-ish kind of deal going on, or it's just like some guys that but they're cool, whatever, then maybe she'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go, like let's go.
Yeah.
Hector
All right.
has Hector has like what is it? 6? How old are the boys? 6. So let's say 7 years since I've actually been like, hey, this is my bro. Like he has not met a girl that from 7 years ago. Like since 7 years ago.
Thanks for showing especially my love life here. No, man.
No, that's me, fool.
Yeah, I know.
I'm talking about me.
I know. Roughly about the same. And Trinidad and Tobago are up 2-1. No, but 4-2 aggregate. But so, all right. I think if you're, I think that's actually a really fair question, like a follow-up question for women. Like if your boyfriend or husband or whoever says like, if they're like, hey, they're saying you can come too, and if you ask like who all else is going, and if it's literally just guys, I would tell you probably for your sake, just don't go. Like just let him have like just it basically becomes a bros night because with you it's not a bros night. It's just everybody hanging out. It's just now you're the only girl. And I mean it could be fun doing that too because you especially if there's like the friends in that group that are still single, if you want you could be like their wingman and that's kind of cool. That one brownie points for you. Like they're like, yeah, we fucking love this girl. Basically, is that's what you could do as your role. But if you don't really like doing that stuff, you could just come, just like, yeah, that's cool, but don't be mad about it. That's the other thing though. If you're gonna tell your guy like, yeah, go hang out with your bros, and then you're mad about it the next day, then yeah, that's also gonna hurt you in some way. But I would say like ask who's going, and if there's like another girl, especially one that you're cool with, yeah, then I would say then that's a clear sign that it's not just a bros night. But if it's literally like no women, yeah, probably best if you're just like, oh, it's okay. I'll just do a rain check or just, say you're busy or something. But here's the update. Well, update number 1. Just context. My boyfriend brings me around his friends all the time and always have a nice time. They are all really nice to me. I don't really take much space because I'm shy. And also they don't speak the same language as me. Yikes. Just saw a video, guys, talking about how much they hate when their friends bring their girlfriends with them. And it got me thinking, what if they actually do hate me? LOL. I think the thing is like if it's a bros night, I think that's when it's like annoying when someone brings their girlfriend because it's just supposed to be the boys hanging out.
Yeah.
So that's where I would say it's annoying. But if it's just like, hey, me and so are going, like me and my girlfriend are going to the bar, like you guys want to go? And then it's like, oh, we can make it a thing, right? So like then it's like everybody and their significant others, maybe some that don't have a girlfriend. That's a whole different thing. But when you're just like strict, like if it's initially just the boys, and most of the time they're just bringing their girls without even telling anybody, and then you're just like, all right, cool, and then you just, but it also depends on the girl because sometimes if it's that kind of similar to what I mentioned about sometimes their personality kind of sucks. It's kind of an awkward night, and I've been there. Especially with one that was like just was. She wanted to go out. She was in a bad mood, and that ruined the vibe for everybody.
Mm.
So like that's what I mean. So like it depends who comes, but if it's like a person that's like fun and outgoing, the one that maybe wants to be your wingman tries to get you a girl, like those most of the time are a great time. But like it also depends on the girl, on what the girlfriend or the wife is. Like sometimes if they're not like girl A, the one that ruined the night for everybody because she was just in a bad mood and didn't want to talk and made it like super awkward the rest of the night, you don't want to see that person. But if it's the like fun, quirky person, then yeah, you basically one of the bros, yeah, like you're gonna enjoy her, enjoy being around her. Fix the language on that one. But yeah, I mean, people. But yeah, is it annoying sometimes? Yes, it is. It is annoying sometimes when guys bring their girls with them. But it also depends on who they are, and if it was initially supposed to be like a bros night. Anything to say on that one?
Nope.
Okay. Here's the second update. Thanks, people. I didn't mean this question to be very serious. Seems like it all depends on just being authentic and nice towards each other. I understand it's important to have guys only time. Thank you. As I also love girls only time. So I don't have problems with that. Just wanted to hear out people's perspective. Thanks. Yeah. Once again, like hanging out with the bros is not a big deal. Like, but I will say if you're gonna go, if you do come to the bros hang out, like just get in on the fun. Like, yeah, we're guys. We're dumb. Our jokes are dumb. Sometimes don't make sense. We have some inside jokes. Like in my friend group, like in general, we have some inside jokes amongst each other, and like if you ask anybody else, it makes no sense. But around us, it makes a lot of sense. Like, me and my friends, we all start doing the wow from like the wow that Owen Wilson says, like, wow, and it all goes back to one night we were hanging out and we all decided to go to this Korean Mexican fusion food truck, and it was freezing. Okay, when I say it was freezing cold, we're talking about like Houston, Texas freezing cold, so like 50 degrees. So for us, that's freezing cold. And so, it was freezing cold. We're all like we're all wearing hoodies and stuff for the cold weather. And, it was night, it was like kind of, I think, like near closing time for like some of the bars. So there, we're talking about a food truck. So there's a lot of people that probably went out to the bars and out drinking. And there was a girl in there that was just literally wearing a short skirts and a tube top. And I remember me and my friends were just, we're also intoxicated. And we just like, dang, you're not cold. That's literally what I said. I was like, dang, girl, you're not cold. And she's like, nah, this is nothing from me. I'm from New York. And, that led to me and my friends just roasting her for the rest of the night. We're like, oh man, she different. She from Brooklyn. And if you guys don't know, there was a movie that came out where J-Lo marries Owen Wilson. It's like the most random movie ever made. But I was like, okay, you're like J-Lo, where's your Owen Wilson? And then we just started saying wow like Owen Wilson does. And so like now one of our inside jokes is with each other is when we say wow. So it's super stupid, but that's literally our humor. That's most guys' humor is just like that. But yeah, as long as you just go with it and have fun and just be the boy, be part of the boys, you usually have a fun time.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But all right, man, that is episode 153. We want to give a shout out to the Belly Up Podcast Network. Check out their website, BellyUpSports.com. Also follow them on Instagram and X at BellyUpMedia and at BellyUpSports. If you guys were able to hear me and Jose Tellez talk about the MLS Cup Semifinals, well, MLS Cup Conference Semifinal. This is game so confusing. Quarterfinals. They're the quarterfinals. It's the quarterfinals. But if you guys liked us talking, well, go ahead and check out GolzTV. GolzTV. Jose Tellez, once again, is the founder of GolzTV. He created this amazing streaming service for you guys. It is free to join right now, so go ahead and check out Golz.tv. Follow them on Instagram at GolzTV and on the X at GolzTV. Great content. Not only just from other podcasts around, but they also have some original content as well, which is Yanks of the Round Table and Wake Up MLS. So some great content over there. So go ahead and check them out. And of course, shout out to our guy Roosevelt Spencer, the namesake of the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award, which it is getting a lot closer now, this race for the award. But if you guys love the beats and the intros and like when we do our singing bits, you enjoy the way our voices sound, even though in reality they're terrible, well, follow him on Instagram at thatguydope. If you guys need some beat work done, message him once again on Instagram at thatguydope. We love him, so make sure you guys give him some love for sure. But yeah, that is episode 153. Next week, well, more MLS Cup playoff talk, Liga MX. So you'll hear Edward talk about Liga MX in next week's episode. But yeah, so some two big things going on, and obviously more awesome football content coming your way. So thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week for episode 154.
All right, take care, guys.